7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
All right. How y'all doing this afternoon? Oh, what's up, QB? Yeah, I know I'm early. Man, this has been a crazy weekend. Crazy weekend. I hope my mic is okay. I just got this new shiny toy. Well, it's not really shiny. It's black, and I got this new audio interface so I can use with my music and stuff. But it's a new toy. It's a new toy. It's not shiny, but it's a new toy. So hopefully everything is coming in good. Hopefully I don't sound like I'm in a tin can. I'm still playing with this. If I'm popping, I'm sorry. It's a $1.25 tree production, but I see where Dollar Tree is going to become the $7 tree. So I'm going to have to up my game if I'm going to, stay with them there. But, excuse me. So yeah, I apologize for the coughing. I was cutting grass today, and anyway. So on my patio perspective, the last time Phil the swag Romano, the last time y'all saw all this on my patio perspective, I said I was going to go. I wasn't going to go live. I was going to record it because I had a lot of stuff going on. Hopefully, y'all had a wonderful Easter weekend. If you don't do the Easter weekend, I hope you had a great weekend. I hope y'all are doing well. So yeah, I had a lot of things going on. Off camera because we all have lives outside of this. But yeah, a lot of things going on, and I was talking about. I just didn't know if I was going to be able to go live. I was just going to record, but I was thinking, I'm like, I can't. To me, it's just not the same for me personally to just record and then put it out there. It just, whenever I just record something, it loses a little piece. It's different as opposed to sitting here live. It's hard to explain, but I like the live. For some reason, I just like the live more than the recording. But that's just me. To each their own. I will say, thanks to Cuban Kane, the one and only Cuban Kane. Thank you for giving me the link to Studio One Live's YouTube channel. I have not put him on Check It Out Corner. I promise you, the next time we come together, I will have Studio One Live on the Check It Out Corner. And I tell you what, that Studio One Live, dude, he has got some stuff, bruh. Studio One ain't no joke, bruh. Now, some of y'all probably saying, yeah, no shit, we've been knowing that. Where you been? Well, I'm just, I'm getting there. But I did subscribe to Studio One Live. That's Studio, the number one, Live. And I tell you what, that dude got it going on, just like everybody else up in the woohoo, I got it right. Everybody up here in the Check It Out Corner. That Studio One Live, he's got some good stuff, man. Good stuff, just like everybody else up there. Now, in case you don't know, or if you're new to all this nonsense, well, thank you for stopping by and checking us out. But the Check It Out Corner, again, it's just a little. It's something I put up there for those of us who don't have the thousands, don't have the multitudes following or subscribe. Just us homegrown folks, just having fun, doing our thing. And again, it's kind of personally biased because it's a lot of people that I like. Now, of course, there are some, bigger name, more known channels that I like, but this is just some regular good, very good folks. And of course, with it being the off season, a lot of them probably aren't doing too much, but like Nate Watts, I'm sure everybody knows Nate Watts. That dude is hilarious, bro. He is hilarious. So yeah, here we are. I want to get started. Now I know it's let's see, if you're on the East Coast, it's a little like it's about 3:34, 3:35 right now. It's about 2:35 where I'm at, and I know it's a Monday. Oh, my Easter was busy, but it was good. It was good. Normally I do this at the nighttime because the nighttime is the right time to be with the one that you love. But yeah, anyway, now I go back to work tomorrow on days, and there was just no way I could do this tonight. And this honestly was the best time for me to do it. I did not want to I didn't want to have a break in the action. I wanted to keep this Rise of the Fall series going because I said in the patio perspectives, but if everything works out, it should take us all the way to like July, give or take. So anyway, so these last few days, I say last few days, but the last time we had this essay episode, this is episode 7. So episode 6, which was last week sometime. I don't remember. Y'all know. Anyway, so there was a lot of good stuff happened since the last time we talked. I was checking out the U-Talk, I believe it is. And first off, I didn't know Mr. Frank was from just north of New Orleans. I don't know where, but he's another South Louisiana Cane, so little biasness there for me. But the other day, Mr. Frank asked an excellent question. And if Shad, y'all know I got a bromance with Shad. Shad's a good man. I like Shad. Shad has his round table. And if y'all have not been to Shad's round table, please check out Shad's round table. It's it doesn't really have a set time or day because y'all, in case you didn't know, Shad and his lovely wife just had a beautiful baby girl. Must have been like a couple of weeks now. So their life is different. Okay, and Shad's just not able to do what he has been doing, but it's okay. But Mr. Frank on the U-Talk, he brought up a good question. Something for maybe a roundtable discussion or whatever. But he asked the question, who was has Miami had a homegrown, hometown quarterback that went to high school in Miami or Dade, Broward, South Florida, and came to Miami and became one of the Miami great quarterbacks. And it got me thinking. It really got me thinking that, really, because most of your the Miami greats, the Mount Rushmore of Miami quarterbacks, you think of your, of course, most of you young folks think of Ken Dorsey, but I think of, your Jim Kelly, Testaverde, Kozar. Okay, your Steve Walsh, Craig Erickson, and none of those guys came from Miami. Now Ja'Cory Harris came to mind because he went to school there at Northwestern. And unfortunately, Mr. Harris was thrown into the fire as a true freshman. Kind of like Mr. Brown. I would say Ja'Cory and Ja'Cory, their names are so close. I just refer to them as Mr. Harris and Mr. Brown. And, Mr. Harris, in my opinion, he could have been. But unfortunately, he was at the wrong place at the wrong time. And if y'all, these last few seasons, what was it, episode 5, 2008, The Young Bulls? If I'm wrong, y'all correct me on it. But, that was Mr. Harris. See, I almost did it. Mr. Harris, that was his true freshman year. He was basically thrown into the mix. Of course, you had redshirt Robert Marve. At the time, in 2007 when he came in. He came in as Mr. Football, Florida football from Tampa. And unfortunately, those two young men did not get a chance to sit and develop and learn like, most quarterbacks get a chance to. They were kind of just thrown to the fire. So unfortunately, they didn't get a chance. They went right out there and, Marv was a redshirt freshman. And that's just because Freeman left, If I remember correctly, Freeman went to Baylor in that 08, in between 07 and 08. But anyway, I digress. So what I'm saying is, honestly, to answer Mr. Frank's question, Miami has not had, a hometown guy come out of high school and develop into a Miami great. And honestly, dude, that's sad. That's sad. The first name I think of is like Lamar Jackson. But he went to Louisville. He could have been. But, would have, could have, should have, and it wasn't. So anyway. I thought that was a pretty good question. That was a good question. And then today, this morning, earlier, I was cutting grass in the backyard, and when I got through, I saw where Cuban Kane's good friend, Mr. Ben from the You Heard podcast had asked a question, and it was basically, and I'm just paraphrasing. I'm not going to pull it up, but I'm just paraphrasing. So if I get it wrong, I'm sorry. But he had a tweet. Mr. Ben had a tweet about what 4 guys or players in the last 20 years would you take and put on this roster for 2024? Hey, right up my alley, okay? Because we're doing this. And of course, in all fairness, we're only at 2010. We've only covered the last 5 years. 04, 05, 06, 07, 08, and 09. Last 6 years, excuse me. But, 6 years. So I haven't given the other seasons to come, really haven't given the same coverage. So the 4 names that popped in my head, and of course it's because from the past episodes I put in Ja'Cory Harris, Hankerson, Greg Cooper, and Kenny Phillips. Now, when I say Mr. Harris, I'm referring to Mr. Harris would have a chance to flourish and learn in the undercurrent system. Well, apparently, I misunderstood the question. Apparently it wasn't about I took it as not so much what those young men became during their time, but just the player, the talent, the young man, the potential. Okay. And apparently that wasn't the question, because I was told, we reminisce about what could be. Yeah. So I said, hey, again, I'm paraphrasing, but I said, you know what? I must have misunderstood the question, and I do apologize for that. Okay. And then I said, with that being said, I guess nobody in the last 20 years should be on this roster. And there may have been a hit of sarcasm, but then again, it depends on the parameters you put on the question. Now again, I'm not. sorry, Cuban. You know I love you, Cuban, but I got to bring your name up. But I'm not trying to go Cuban versus Ben on this because, you know, they have a very interesting relationship. But, you know, I'm like, okay, whatever. You know, maybe there was a hint of sarcasm because I started thinking, okay, well, I guess my first thought, okay, this is a loaded question. So this roster for 2024 is so friggin' awesome and is just latent with all this NFL-esque talent that, nobody can be on this roster except for the guys. I don't know. Again, it's, you know, I think it's a great question. And, you know, I still stand by my 4 names. If they were allowed to be coached and everything, because, you know, you got to realize a lot of these players were not utilized like they should have been back then, you know. And, yeah, Stephen Morris, exactly, QB. And we are going to touch on Stephen today, by the way. You know, yeah, but the thing is, a lot of folks out there are so hell-bent on, you know, it's Cam Ward or nothing, you know, and then there's a debate about, you know, who should be QB2. Should it be Poffenberger? Should Mr. Brown just say screw it and leave? Should he transfer? You know, and of course, my opinion is Miami did not need Cam Ward. Miami does not need Poffenbarger. Bridgewater, yes. Teddy Bridgewater, another one. That's the name I couldn't think of. Yeah, exactly. You know, my opinion is what Miami should have done is you got Jakari, Mr. Brown. You have 8 for 23, the South Beach Savior. You have Judd, and then you got, you know, Nickelback coming in. But unfortunately, from what I've seen and read, that apparently the coaching staff, everybody wants to win now. They want Veruca Salt. They're like this Veruca Salt syndrome. I want it now. Screw tomorrow. I want it today. And honestly, and no disrespect to Cam, no disrespect to Reese. No, I'm just saying, yeah, it's good to win today, but what about tomorrow? What happens next year? What happens the year after? I don't know. But it is what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be. Oh. Other than that, we're going to get this thing started. But if y'all will, I know this is crazy. I just started this thing. So if y'all excuse me for just 1 second, I will be right back. I promise you, I will be right back.
I like to be educated, but I'm so frustrated. Hello to my loneliness. I guess that ignorance is bliss. Take me back to before I knew. Rewind, take it out of cue. Innocence can be a young man's game. Signed up for the hall of shame. I wish I knew how much I miss not knowing that we're all screwed. When we play our roles
wasn't no bathroom break. I just needed to step out. Had to respond to a text, and that's what's so. It's we're live. Things happen. Okay, so let's get into this. Let's get started. Let's get started. So, 2009. All right, 2009. Miami finished 9-4. They lost. They had a loss to Wisconsin in the Champs Bowl, and during the off season, stop hitting the mic stand, dude. I'm going to go ahead and change my scene right quick. Whoa, we went dark. There we are. Okay, we're in business. Yeah, y'all do realize that I'm just an amateur. I'm not a professional. I'm not a Coach Hayes or a Coach Coop or it's $1.25 tree production, baby. So basically in the off season, and I'm reading my notes. I have my notebook. Shad taught me well. Miami, Clint Hurt, the defensive line coach, he went to Louisville as defensive line coach. He was replaced by Rick Petrie. I hope I said that right. Petrie came from Kentucky. He was at Miami from 93 to 95. Aubrey Hill became the recruiting coordinator because Clint Hurt was the D-line coach and the recruiting coordinator. So Aubrey Hill took over the recruiting coordinator aspect. Mr. Tommy Robinson, he was the running back coach. He went to the Arizona Cardinals as their running backs coach. So, and Mr. Robinson was replaced by Mike Cassano. Hope I said that right. And then Mr. Barrow is the full-time linebacker coach. And we'll get into the coaching staff in just one moment. Something else. Apparently, Jakari, Mr. Harris was coming off a shoulder injury, and this right here, this is the ironic part, because if you look at the title, it's Shannon's Last Stand. I couldn't come up with another title. There was just Shannon's Last Stand. I don't know what else to say. But Randy Shannon, Coach Shannon, had just signed a 4-year contract extension in May of 2010. Crazy. All right, so let's see if I can do this. I need to pull up. Okay, so I'm going to take, y'all, it's going to go dark for just a second. All right, so here we go. We have Mr. Randy Shannon, Coach Shannon. He is the head coach. All right. Mark Whipple, he is still offensive coordinator and quarterback coach. That's 2 years in a row. All right. Mr. Lovett, second year as defensive coordinator. Looks like we're starting to get a little consistency here, people. Panunzio, still tight ends and special teams coordinator, commonly known as the Bag Man. All right, Aubrey Hill, Mr. Hill. He is the wide receiver coach, and just like I said just previously, he also became the recruiting coordinator with Mr. Hurt leaving for Louisville. You have Mr. Barrow. Mr. Barrow, he is now the linebackers coach. And then there is Mr. Mike Cassano. I guess it's Cassano. I hope I'm pronouncing these words right. It's been a while. I don't know if it's Cassano or Cassano. If Mr. Mike, okay, he's the running backs coach. He took over for Mr. Robinson, like I said earlier. Then you have Crime Dog McGriff, Mr. Wesley. He is still defensive backs coach. And then there's Mr. Petrie, Mr. Rick, Slick Rick. He is the defensive line coach because, like I said, Mr. Hurt went to Louisville. And, of course, we still have Mr. Stoutland as the offensive line coach. Mr. Stoutland's going to come into play later on. Just sit back and wait. All right, so we have our grad assistants here. You have Boomer and Mark. That's our grad assistants for the 2010 season. Strength and conditioning, of course, still Mr. Swayze. And his assistant, they call him Ishmael. All right, so the draft pick, the draft for the 09 team, the 09 players that were drafted. This is something new, just a little slide I put in here because I think we need to talk about this. Mr. Graham, of course, everybody knows Jimmy G. He went to the Saints in the 3rd round. Mr. Sharpton went to the Texans in the 4th. Mr. Fox, the Lions in the 4th. And Derek Epps to the Chargers in the 7th. All right, so, bring me back. There we are. There I am. So yeah, that's your coaching staff. That's the guys who went to the pros, who got drafted. So now, get my notebook flipped here, make sure I got everything going. All right, so this brings us to our. So if anybody's commenting on the StreamYard, I can't see it right now because I got stuff all over the place here. That's gonna bring us. Get rid of that. Let's talk about the recruits, shall we? Hey, what are you doing? Okay. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to zoom this in. I hope y'all can see that really well. But these are our 2010 football signees. I took this from the media guide. I wanted to put some faces to the names. But I'm going to read this list right quick. You got well, no, let's do this. Let's see here. You got Jermaine Barton, offensive lineman, 6'7", 283 from St. Aquinas. He was a 3-star according to Rivals and Scout. Then you have Mr. Jeffrey Brown, a D lineman. He was a 2-star by Rival, 3 by ESPN.com, and he was the number 5 defensive tackle in the country according to Scout. I mean, do y'all see a theme here? You got all these recruiting services with all these different whatever. It's crazy. It's crazy. That's why I never really get caught up in the stars. All right, so Kelvin Kane, he was a linebacker from California. Eduardo Clements, running back from Booker T. Whoops. I gotta get my stuff straight here. Okay, and then Asante Cleveland, tight end. Good size, 6'5", 245 from Sacramento, California. Then Devontae Davis, a defensive back from Gainesville. You had Jeremy Davis, Feliciano, of course, lineman from Davie, Florida, right there by Hard Rock. Chase Ford, a tight end from Texas. Okay, there we go. All right, James Gaines from New York. He was a linebacker. Tavares Glenn, he was a lineman. Maurice Hagens, running back. Darian Hall, running back. Brandon Linder, sounds familiar. Lineman. Kevin Nelson, linebacker. Keon Payne, defensive back. David Perry. I actually work with a guy named David Perry, but it's not the same person. Defensive lineman from Pembroke Pines. The guy I work with is from Woodville, Mississippi. Casey Rogers, defensive back. Tallman, tight end. Delmar Taylor, defensive lineman. Clive Walford. Sounds familiar. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's one of Shad's Raider players in the future, but don't quote me on it. Tight end. And Travis Williams. Now, there was a name that I did not talk about, and it was what's his name? It was shoot, it's gonna make me do it. It's gonna make me do it. I want to say it was Laquan. Give me a second. Because I want to make sure I got this young man's name mentioned. Again, if y'all are putting anything in the chat, you can talk about me. I can't see it. I got all kind of crap going on. Because I want to make sure I bring this young man's name up, because Laquan Anderson. All right. Now, he was, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he was a track. He got a track. He was from Cleveland. He got a track scholarship, and he was kind of a walk-on for Miami. And also, Sean Trail Henderson. He was supposed to go to. He was supposed to go to USC, if I'm not mistaken, but with Lane Kiffin. But he ended up coming to Miami. Big old tackle from Minnesota. Oh, okay, good. Nobody said anything bad about me. Dude, I got stuff all over the place. So y'all, I'm not a professional. This is $1.25 Tree Production, but we're going to get through this. All right. So was there anything else on the preseason I needed to talk about? All right. So we talk about the recruits. This is the roster by position. I hope y'all can see this. So in the quarterback, you also had Stephen Morris come in. I don't know why they didn't put him as a recruit, but anyway, you have Stephen Morris. In the quarterback room, you have Ja'Cory Harris, Alonzo Highsmith, Stephen Morris, and Spencer Whipple. That's right, Little Whip. And the running back room is led by senior Damian Barry. You have senior Greg Cooper, which Cooper was awesome. You have senior Pat Hill, which was more of a fullback. And then, of course, one of the great names in Miami football history, Storm Johnson, freshman. I don't know why he didn't come up in the recruits. Maybe, anyway. Yeah, I'm on top of things today. Also, you got Mr. Lamar Miller as a freshman. Maurice Hagans is freshman. Darian Hall, freshman. David Thompson. They didn't even give him a number on the roster. But now, again, this is all coming from the media guide, so don't shoot the messenger. You got Calhoun and Chambers Jr., Lee Chambers, yes. You also have, in the receiver group, you have this young man named Alan Hearns, a freshman. I don't know why he's not on the recruit list. But the wide receiver room consists of junior Travis Benjamin, one of my favorites, Ben Bruno, sophomore, LaRon Bird, and Theron Collier, juniors. Hankerson is a senior. He forgo the draft and came back his senior year. And of course, Alan Hearns, freshman. Aldarius Johnson, junior. He very undercredited young man. He did really well. And then you have the sophomore trios of Devon Johnson, Tommy Streeter, and Kendall Tompkins. I'm not going to go through the whole list, but yeah, even Alan Bailey. I kind of liked old Alan. Alan was a good guy. He did very well. He come back for his senior year, and also Mr. Orlando Franklin come back for his senior year. So yeah, that's basically the roster by position. Not so much a depth chart, but just some names by position. Let's see, anything else? We got the recruits, the coaching staff, the roster. So that brings us to the schedule. The schedule for 2000. Cuban Kane, I'm alive, dude. I'm alive. Glad you here. Oh, I kind of had a different. I'm not going to say I had one of your relationship scuffles with Ben from You Heard, but we'll talk about it later. All right, so looking at the schedule for 2010. Now, these rankings that you see are the AP preseason rankings, not the actual in season. So looking at this schedule, if it was say August of 2010 and Coach Hayes, Coach Pompano, whatever, or the season prediction shows out there, you're thinking, okay, well, I mean, it's basically, you got Ohio State. Now I did throw in the Sun Bowl. I know that's kind of a spoiler alert, but hey, it's cool. Oh yeah. Well, Cuban, I talked about. Well, we'll get to it later. If not, rewind the videotape and see what I said. But anyway, moving on. Yeah, it's basically instead of Oklahoma, you have Ohio State. Nothing really fancy about this schedule, but it is what it is. So that's basically rewind. Be kind, rewind, huh, buddy? But no, real quick before I get into it, I'm glad you're here, Cuban, because I'm probably like one of the only people that really like you in this world, but I'm joking. Nah, what it was, Cuban, I don't want to backtrack, but for those of you, I think it's just QB and maybe a Phil, but earlier, before I get into the 010 season here, the games, Ben with You Heard did a Twitter, X post about if you could take, because apparently they discussed this on the You Heard podcast, that if you could take 4 players from the last 20 years and put it on this year's roster, who would it be? Hey, right up our wheelhouse. That's what we've been talking about. I mean, we're only on, we've only covered 04 to 09, but hey. Okay. So I put in, Ja'Cory Harris, Greg Cooper, Leonard Hankerson, and Kenny Phillips. Now, I was presuming that, Ja'Cory would have came in and been, he wouldn't have been thrown into the fire. But apparently I didn't, he put this tweet out. I mean, you could pull it up on Twitter, but apparently I misunderstood the question because he did a response that he responded, say, we could all, romanticize about what could have been, but based on, what happened, I'm like, okay, well, I misunderstood the question. I am so sorry. But with that being said, then according to that logic, nobody from the last 20 years have any business being on this year's roster. There may have been a hint of sarcasm, but, to stay within the parameters of his question, then nobody deserves to be on there. But anyway, yeah, if you get a chance, Cupid, and I know you will, because I know you and Ben are tight. Y'all are tight. Check that out. Anyway, okay. So let me get this out the way. Yeah, there's the schedule's behind me. All right, so, let's see what we got here. All right, so first game of the season. Let's take this off. No, what are you doing? There we go. Stop it. What are you doing? Oh my gosh. What the hell is going on here? I'm still learning. Y'all give me a chance here. All right, let's see if I got this right. Nope. All right, FAMU. Oh my gosh, what is going on here today? All right, so FAMU, first game of the season. All right. This is where I need to pull up. There we go. I'm going to get this right one day. Y'all just bear with me. Again, no disrespect to the Rattlers of FAMU, but okay, why am I on the team statistics? Okay, here we go. So Miami won 45-0. Gosh, this is peanut gallery here. Miami come out. As you can see, they had 14 points in the first quarter. Second quarter, 21 points, and then the backups got in. Let's see here. As far as the scoring summary goes, Hankerson, he had his 40-yard pass from Harris. So looking at the team stats here, just what you would expect for a Miami versus FAMU. Miami had 23 first downs to FAMU's 8. Miami had 155 yards rushing to FAMU's 52. Passing, Miami had 250 to FAMU's 58. Altogether, Miami had 405 offensive yards to FAMU's 110. Both teams fumbled but did not lose it. But both teams had an interception. That's going to be a theme. Stay with me now. All right, so you know what I'm looking for. That's right. Third down conversion. Miami was 5 of 10. Luckily, I know it's FAMU, and I don't want to sit here and discredit FAMU because they're FAMU, but it's still, it's a team. They're people. They try. They work hard. They just may not have the facilities and the opportunities given to them like a Miami. But it's Miami versus FAMU. What do you want me to say? All right, so looking at our individual offensive statistics right quick, Mr. Miller got in with 11 rushes for 65 yards. He had a touchdown. He averaged 6 yards a carry. James was in there. He got 36. Mr. Barry, 45. Mr. Harris actually was 12 of 15 for 210, 3 touchdowns. Very efficient. Very efficient. Very good way to start the season, kind of get his feet wet. Mr. Highsmith got in there. He was 4-7 with an interception for 18 yards. He was sacked. And then Little Whipple was 3 of 4. Looking at Florida A&M, Sylvester had 50 yards. Cousin Levante Page, he had 35 yards. Passing, I'm just going to say Mr. Martin, he was 5 of 11 for 58 with 1 interception. So, yeah, I mean, it was what you would expect, I guess, you know. So looking at the defensive stats, you did have that 1 sack by Hepburn. I believe that was on Highsmith. Miami's defense, Mr. Vernon had 3.5 along with Mr. Robinson. Fortson had 1. Ojimo had 2. And Holmes had 1 for a total of 8 sacks. They had 14 tackles for losses for 80 yards. So, again, no disrespect to FAMU, but, I mean, this is what you would kind of expect for this type of matchup. So, I don't really have any game notes for this because, I mean, it was FAMU. So, the next week, Miami takes on number 2. I just took my damn earbuds out. Son of a bitch. All right, so the next week, Miami takes on number 2, Ohio State. This is at home. Yes, it was at home. So, let me get some stuff up here. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. All right, so we'll get rid of that. Bring that up. So here we are with Ohio State. As you can see, Ohio State. It was at Columbus. Yes. I meant to put the home and away on the little graphic for the. Yeah, here I am. I meant to put the graphic about away or home on the little team logo I did with the ranking and stuff. You know, I try to be fancy, but yeah, it was at Ohio State. Let me get this to where I can read it. Let me get rid of that and bring that up. Okay, so Miami was number 12 going into this game. Ohio State was number 2. Yeah, and basically, truth be told, that second quarter was the nail in the coffin for Miami. You know, Ohio State had 23 points to their 10. Now, a couple of things about this game. You had Lamar Miller had that 88-yard kickoff return for a touchdown, which basically put Miami ahead, as you can see, 7-3. And then Bosher hit that 51-yard field goal. Miami's up 10-3. I'm like, all right, cool. But then, Ohio State come back with a touchdown, a field goal, and another touchdown. Next thing you know, Ohio State's up 20-10. And then my man, Mr. Benjamin, comes out, has that 79-yard punt return. Brings it to what's that, 20-17. And then, of course, they had the 2 field goals. So it's 26-17 going into the half. All right. Of course, you see where Mr. Pryor, quarterback, had that run. And then Barclay had a field goal. And then Mr. Ford had a touchdown. And unfortunately, Miami came up short 36-24. The thing about this game, and again, I talked about the interceptions. All right, so Mr. Harris had 3 interceptions in the first half. Okay, you're just not going to get it done doing that. But again, just like Mr. Brown last year, or excuse me, year 4 last, Jakari was thrown in there. He's a sophomore. So looking at the summary, Ohio State only had 2 more first downs than Miami. Ohio State did have the 181 yards rushing to Miami's 120. Okay, and a lot of that was for Mr. Pryor, the quarterback at Ohio State. He was very mobile. He could run. So yeah, see, looking at our passing numbers, 22 of 39 with 4 interceptions. 4 interceptions. Now, I'm not saying would have, could have, should have. Not living in the land of ifs and buts. But you take those 4 interceptions away, who knows? So total offensive yards, Miami had 352 to Ohio State 414. So it wasn't like, Ohio State had the rushing, but again, Mr. Pryor, we'll get to this in a second, but it's not like it was that big a thing. Oh, I passed it up. Where is my third down conversions? Okay. So Miami's in front here. So Miami was 7 of 15, under 500 on third downs. But Ohio State was 6 of 18. So, that's not bad. Not bad at all. All right, so let's get into the individual offensive statistics. So Mr. Berry come out and had 97 yards rushing. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that Mr. Cooper he may have still been nursing that knee injury he had in the bowl game previously, but that's beside the point. Barry had 16 rushes for a total of 94 yards. Mr. James, 3 rushes for 10 yards. And, of course, Jakari, he got a few rushing yards, probably running for his life. Mr. Miller got in there. He had 8 yards rushing. So passing for Miami, Mr. Harris was 22 of 39, 4 interceptions for 232 yards. He was sacked twice. He did have a touchdown. Receiving, the same thing we talked about last time, and the time of the ball was passed around. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different people got a catch, got a reception. Hankerson had 7 for 90 yards. Mr. Benjamin, 3 for 51. And then, of course, Mr. Bird, 34 for 35. But, nothing really, no real long pass plays. You got Hankerson, the longest one was 25. Bosher only put it twice. But I guess if you throw 4 interceptions, it kind of takes away from your punting average. So looking at Mr. Pryor, Mr. Terrell Pryor. Ooh, back off the microphone, dude. He had 113 yards rushing. So when the quarterback is the leading rusher, it is what it is. That's just the type of player that he is. He was a fantastic player. And, of course, Mr. Pryor was 12 of 27 passing, 233 yards, 1 touchdown, longest pass play of 62 yards, and the defense did get to him 1 time. Okay. Looking at the defensive stats, we had 1 sack by Mr. Regis. And then you had 11 sacks, 11 tackles for loss. for 11 of them for 29 yards on a tackle for loss. Ohio State had 2 sacks and 5 tackles for loss. This is something I forgot about, the participation report. Basically kind of like a depth chart for the game. So it looks like, Mr. Berry was in because Cooper was out. So, all right, let me get back to this. I'm gonna go ahead and close that out. Bring me back on screen. That's right. I know y'all are anxious to see. So yeah, Miami loses, and it was a little rain coming down in that game. I did look at the highlights of the game, and honestly, truth be told, the 4 interceptions that was thrown by Mr. Harris. Again, I haven't, I would love to go back and look at every interception that Mr. Harris did, but I'm not going to do it because I don't want to sit here and say Mr. Harris was, less of a quarterback because of his turnovers. Because, there was times where he, basically he just kind of got hit when he was throwing. He got tipped. Ball went through the receiver's hands. Receiver went the wrong route. Mr. Harris threw it to the wrong place, et cetera, et cetera. I really don't want to get into that. If you would like to go out and on your own check that out, all you gotta do is just put in the, you can see the highlights on the YouTube, or you can actually go into Google and put in, say, 2010 Miami versus whoever, and you can actually go in the ESPN. It'll tell you, or you go in the YouTube, see the highlights, whatever. Okay, so this brings us. Okay, get you out the way. All right, the next week Miami plays number 15 Pittsburgh. Number 15, Pittsburgh. Miami is number 19 going into this game. Let me get the appropriate slide up. All right, so it's at Pittsburgh. Miami comes out and just dominates number 15, Pittsburgh, 31-3. I don't really have any notes on this one, but it was basically Miami went up there and just took care of business. Looking at the team stats, as you can see, Miami had 20 first downs to Pittsburgh's 11. Pittsburgh did outrush Miami 128-100. Passing, Miami was 21 of 32, 2 interceptions for 248. Pittsburgh was 13 of 24. Luckily, they had 2 interceptions for 104 yards. Altogether, Miami outgained Pittsburgh offensively 348-232, and you know what I'm looking for. That's right. You know what I'm looking for. Third down conversion. Miami was 5 of 12. 5 of 12. Really? Luckily, Pittsburgh was 4 of 15. 5 of 12. Oh my gosh. So, individual stats. Mr. Berry, Damian Berry, he had 21 rushes for a total of 87 yards. Mr. Miller had 8 rushes for 31. Mr. Harris was sacked. Well, I say he was sacked, but he had minus 12 yards rushing. So, rushing for Pittsburgh, looks like Mr. Ray Graham had 14 for 100 yards. Mr. Lewis, 12 for 41. Sunseri had 7 for 14. passing. As you can see, Mr. Harris, like I said, 21 of 32. He had 2 interceptions for 248 yards. Longest pass play was 39, and he had 2 sacks. Looking at receiving, Mr. Benjamin, 6 receptions for 96 yards. As you can see, we had 2, 4, 6, 7 different folks touch the ball, which is really, really good. 2 touchdown receptions, one by Mr. Benjamin, one by Mr. Hankerson. Pittsburgh, really? You had Mr. Graham had 3 receptions for 41, longest of 33. So forth and so on. Like I said, it was 31-3. Looking at defensive stats, Mr. Spence had 1, plus him and Mr. McCarthy joined together for a sack. Mr. Bailey had a sack, and Mr. Smith had 2 sacks, which gave him 5 sacks. The defense did have 9 tackles for losses, which accounted for a minus 53 yards. It looks like Mr. Jabal Sheard had 2 sacks, which resulted in 17 yards loss. Tackle for loss, Mr. Sheard, of course, 2 of those, quarter sacks. And then looks like Mr. Williams, and I'm just going to say Chaz, because I'm not going to even attempt to pronounce that name. They both had they shared in a tackle for loss for about 3 yards. And it looks like Mr. Barry, Mr. Damon Barry had the start for the halfback. All right, let me get this beautiful mug back on the screen. Current now, guys. I have to catch up later. Yeah. So let's get rid of that. Let me do a little housekeeping here. Okay, so yeah, Miami is sitting 2-1. They are currently up to number 16. So if let's see here. Let me bring this up. The next week, your number. No, it's not Pittsburgh. It's the next one. Your number 16 Miami Hurricanes go to Clemson and take on the Clemson Tigers. And unfortunately, I said unfortunately. Why did I say unfortunately? Dumbass. So Miami wins 30-21. It is at Clemson. So, and this was, if I'm not mistaken, this was Dabo's second year as head coach at Clemson. One of the game notes I have is Mr. Harris had 4 touchdown passes in the first half. As you can see, apparently had a missed field goal. The extra point was blocked there. So yeah, Mr. Harris came out and had 4 touchdown passes. Of course, you see Mr. Ellington had a 71-yard touchdown run for Clemson, and then he had a 14-yard run for Clemson for a touchdown. Mr. Hankerson, Mr. Leonard had a 65-yard pass for a touchdown. And then Mr. James had an 18-yard touchdown pass from Ja'Cory. And then Hankerson had another touchdown pass. Clemson had that field goal in the third, got it close, but then Bosher came in, hit a field goal, and that's basically game, set, and match. So looking at I know this is very intriguing stuff, but just looking at the team stats, Nothing really, sticks out on the first downs. Rushing, Miami had 171, Clemson 162. Passing, this is where it gets interesting. Miami had 205, Clemson had 149, but then again, Clemson had 3 interceptions, Miami had 2. Yeah. Exactly. Now, you know what I'm looking for. Where's the did I pass it up? There it is. I'm about as blind as a bat. Miami was 6 of 18 on third down. 6 of 18. That's like 30%, 33%. Clemson, luckily, was 7 of 17. Rushing, Mr. Barry, 24 rushes for 100 yards, 101 yards. Mr. Miller, 7 rushes for 53. Looks like Mr. Mike James got in 6 rushes for 31. Clemson, Mr. Ellington, 17 rushes for 107, and then Harper, 18 rushes for 57 yards. Passing. I don't mean to make light of Mr. Harris, but again, if he was given the redshirt opportunities as Mr. Brown, it could have been a different story, but I digress. It is what it is. I make no excuses. I just give you what the numbers say. That's all I can do. So Mr. Harris was 13 of 33 with 2 interceptions, 205 yards, but he did have 4 touchdown passes. His longest pass play, of course, was to Hankerson for a touchdown, 65 yards. He was sacked 1 time. Mr. Parker for Clemson was 14 of 33. He had 3 interceptions, which I guess the 3 interceptions for Clemson versus the 2 interceptions for Miami kind of offset a little bit. But Parker only had 149 yards passing. Miami had, like I said, they had 13 receptions by 6 different people, but it looks like Hankerson was targeted the most. He had 7 receptions for 147 and 3 touchdowns. So it is what it is. Looking at the defensive side of the ball, looks like Mr. Van Dyke and Mr. Forson combined for a sack. Mr. Robinson had a sack, and Mr. Smith had a sack. Miami did have 8 tackles for loss to give a minus 23. Clemson had 2 sacks, and they had 10 tackles for loss, which Miami lost 49 yards on. And I thought I had, again, depth chart. If you want to look at it, if you want to, in the future, if you want to pause, go back, whatever. But that was your depth chart for that game. All right, so I'm going to bring myself back. I know, you missed me. So yes, that was Clemson. So right now, Miami is sitting at 3-1. Miami has moved up to number 13 in the AP rankings, and the only they did beat Pitt. Pitt was 15 at the time, but the next week is get rid of that. The next week is Florida State. Florida State comes in ranked number 23. So you have the number 23 Florida State Seminoles versus your number 13 Miami Hurricanes. So let's see what we got here. Unfortunately, Miami loses this game, and it's at Hard Rock, or excuse me, it's at Sun Life Stadium this year. I forgot to mention that Joe Robbie, formerly Land Shark, is now Sun Life Stadium. So Miami's at home against Florida State, and they end up losing 45-17. So really, basically, some of my game notes are Mr. Chris Thompson for Florida State had a field day. He had like 158 yards rushing. The game was never really close. It really wasn't. It was not close at all. Florida State come down. As you can see, they jumped out to a 21-0 lead. Miami did score 7 in the second, 10 in the third, but it was never close. Never close. And the crazy thing, this right here, this 90-yard touchdown run by Thompson, Mr. Chris Thompson, that was the longest run allowed at that time in Miami history. Imagine that. The longest run allowed by the defense of Miami in history, Miami history, was given up to Florida State. Imagine that, 90 yards. And if I'm not mistaken, again, like I said, I watched the highlights a few days. It was probably about 3 or 4 days ago. But if I'm not mistaken, it was Florida State did a running play off tackle, I believe. I think it was off the right side of the line, and he just took off. Honestly, I think it was just the right play called against the right defense. In other words, screw it. It happened. It was done. Now, as you can see, Miami had 27 first downs to Florida State's 19, but Florida State outrushed Miami almost 300 to 189. I mean, even if you take away that 90-yard run by Mr. Thompson in the fourth quarter, it's still 208 to 189. Florida State had 41 attempts at rushing. Miami had 36. So it wasn't like, Florida State did nothing but run the ball. But I mean, Florida State was getting 7.3 yards a rush. Miami only 5.2, which the 5.2 for Miami wasn't bad. It's just that Florida State got 7.3. For passing, Florida State 12 of 21 for an interception. Miami 20 of 49 for an interception. Miami did have 235 yards passing. Florida State 173. So as a result, total offense, Florida State outgained Miami 471 to 24. And the crazy thing is, even if you take away the 90-yard rush for touchdown by Florida State, it wouldn't have made a rat's ass difference. Oh boy. And here we go. Make sure I got my things right here. All right, third down conversions. Florida State was 6 of 12. Miami 7 of 19. Also, Miami was 1 of 2 on fourth down. So the third down conversion still continues for Miami. Individual stats. So I'm just going to start with Florida State because you had Thompson. He had 14 rushes for 158, and then you had Thomas. He had 16 for 78. And Pryor, he had 3 for 45. Even old Christian Ponder got into it with his little scrambling ability. 2 rushes for 15. But, I mean, I know the numbers don't lie, but I have to say it. You know, with Thompson getting 11.3 and Pryor getting 15 per carry, that's not very good, you know. But on the Miami side of the ball, Barry did have 20 rushes for 100 yards. You see Harris got 31. Cooper was starting to kind of get back into the fold. He had 22 yards rushing, et cetera, et cetera. Now, as you can see, Mr. Harris was 19 of 47. Yeah, 47 pass attempts. He only had 225 yards, and he had an interception. Ponder, 12 of 21, 1 interception for 173 yards, 2 touchdowns. Harris had no touchdowns. And it looks like Young Whipple had a completion on 2 attempts for 10 yards. You know, I guess it was, you know, the game was over anyway. Oh my gosh. Anyway, one of the positives is you had 2, 4, 6. You had seven people. Well, actually, you had 8 people get receptions. Unfortunately, Mr. James didn't get any yards. But, you know, you had 7 guys that actually got receptions for positive yards. Of course, Hankerson leads at 5 for 72. That's one thing I really like to see is the amount of people that get receptions. Altogether, 20 receptions, 235. The longest was 31. Florida State had 12 receptions for 173 yards. Looking at defense, I mean, Florida State only had 1 sack for an 11-yard loss, but they did have 5 tackles for loss for 24. Unfortunately, Miami's defense could not sack Ponder, but they did have 6 tackles for loss for 23-yard loss against Florida State. As you can see, the depth chart, well, they did have Mike James as a fullback, but I guess they were trying to run him and Barry. But that's, again, if you want to see who was on there, I put that up there just in case. All right. And I'm back. So, yeah, here we are. Miami done got beat by Ohio State. They get, you know, whooped by Florida State. Miami sitting here 3-2. And unfortunately, let's get rid of something. Okay. There we go. Bring that back up. So yeah, so Miami went into this game 13 in the nation against Florida State, number 23. They get basically ran all over. I'm not trying to be funny, but yeah, they got ran over. And the next week, Miami was not ranked. They're taking on Duke, which, if I can pull this up right quick. Miami takes on the Duke Blue Devils. And this is at Duke. It is an away game. And Miami pulls it out. 28-13. One thing I will say about this game, and we'll get into it in the stats, but some of my game notes that I took down while I was watching the highlights, quarterback for Duke, Renfrey, he had 5 interceptions plus a fumble snap. Duke's defense coming into this game was the worst in the ACC. A good one though. Mike and Regis. Mr. Regis had an interception touchdown in the first part of the third quarter. As you can see, with 14-11, Mr. Regis had a 22-yard interception. But I guess the big takeaway from this is the quarterback for Duke had five interceptions and a fumbled snap. But Miami only won 28-13. So take that for what it's worth. And again, this is the worst defense in the ACC. Not just the Coastal, not just the Atlantic, the whole ACC. Duke is the worst defense. And y'all can see it. Miami had 22 first downs. Duke had 9. Now, Miami ran for 224 yards. Duke only ran for 105. All right. Passing. Miami 17-34 for 224. No interceptions. Good job, Mr. Harris. Duke was 22 of 44 with 5 interceptions and 187 yards passing. Crazy. I mean, look at this. Miami outgained Duke 448-292. But they only won 28-13 against the worst defense in the ACC. Please help me make sense of this. I mean, I would have thought, it would have been a bigger victory than what it was. Of course, make sure I get my numbers right. Yes, sorry about that. Miami was 3 of 12 on first down. 3 of 12. Let me get my face in here on this. 3 of 12 on third down versus the worst defense in the ACC at that time. I don't know. Get back to this right quick. Let me get back to this game because, again, I didn't watch the whole game, but the numbers don't lie. Where were we? Yes, 3 of 12 on third down. Duke was 7 of 19. All right, individual stats. Mr. Barry had 25 rushes for 111 yards. Mr. James, 8 for 84. Even Mr. Harris got in the action, 3 rushes for 19. And, of course, Mr. Cooper got a little limited action, 2 for 12. Mr. Harris was 17-34 for 224 and a touchdown. Rushing for Duke, you see it, nothing gaudy. They had a few guys with some rushing yards, but again, right here, Mr. Winfrey, 18-38, 5 interceptions, and you only mustered 28 points. I don't know what I don't know. Winfrey was sacked twice, and then this Conant dude, he got in, went 4 or 6 for 30 yards, but he was sacked once. 2, 4, 6. You had 8 different people get a reception. Mr. James, he did get a yard on a reception versus last week where he had no yards, no gain. But, Hankerson got the only receiving touchdown. Now, Mr. Berry had a rushing touchdown. Mr. Harris had a rushing touchdown. But, and of course you had the interception by Mr. Regis. That was a touchdown. And then, Hankerson caught it. But, I mean, oh, man. The worst defense in the ACC. The worst defense. So looking at Miami's defensive numbers real quick, they had 3 sacks. Regis, Mr. Armstrong, and Mr. Bailey, they all had sacks. Miami had 9 tackle for loss for a -42 on Duke. Duke had no sacks, only 4 tackles for loss for a -7 yards. I don't know. I just don't know. That was a crazy game. Maybe it was a Florida State hangover. I don't know. I don't get it. But they should have. I mean, Miami, I know would have, could have, should have, but you would think they would have came out and just, with 5 interceptions and a fumble snap, plus, the worst defense in the ACC, you would have thought Miami would have came out and won by at least 4 or 5 touchdowns. Yeah, you would have thought. Okay, so Oops. So let's see here. Let's get rid of that, and that brings us to our next week opponent, number 18. Number 18, UNC against your number 25 ranked Miami Hurricanes. And this is taking place in Sun Life Stadium. All right. So here we are, Miami, North Carolina. Number 25 versus number 18. Miami 25, UNC 18. And let me get this where I can read it. Miami pulls out the victory, 33-10. 33-10. This game here, with Miami winning 33-10, it snapped a 3-game losing streak Miami had against UNC. A couple of other little game notes to let you know. As you can see at the beginning, their UNC's first possession, their first play of the second quarter, matter of fact, Johnny White ran for a 76-yard touchdown. You can see it right there on the. Because look at, it was 3-0 North Carolina. Then Bosher had a field goal, and then this right here, Mr. White, 76-yard run. Positive numbers. Mr. Ja'Cory Harris threw 3 touchdown passes to move into second place all time. Dorsey was at the time in 2010. Dorsey was still first with 86, but Harris was able to jump over Vinny Testaverde and Steve Walsh. They both had they were tied at 48 touchdowns. So even with all the interceptions that Mr. Harris has thrown so far, for him to be second in the touchdown passes all time is pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive. That says something. Yeah, he had the interceptions, but of course, Mr. Harris was thrown into, he was a true freshman thrown on the field. That's why I'm saying, if Mr. Harris was today, Mr. Ja'Cory Harris was today, and he was able to sit and redshirt and learn and develop, I'm not saying he had been, greater than the almighty Ken Dorsey. I'm not saying that. But if you just give just Mr. Harris a chance, because I still believe to this day, if he was able to come in as a freshman and redshirt and learn and develop, his game would have been so much better. But unfortunately, the coaching staff threw him into the fire as a true freshman. Sound familiar? Kind of what Mario did to Mr. Brown a couple of seasons ago. I'm just saying, I'm just giving you information based on stats. Okay? You watch the game, you see what happens. I'm just saying. That's why I said to Mr. Ben on You Heard that if Mr. Harris would have been given the same, if he'd have been in the same situation as Mr. Brown, oh wow. Give him time to give Mr. Harris time to bulk up. Get a little size on him, get a little development, get him time to get used to and acclimated to the college game. I don't want to live in a land of what if, but what if? I'm going to save that. I'm going to save it because, this is Ja'Cory's junior year, sophomore year. Last year was his. No, this is junior year, right? Hang on. I think I need to check something out right quick. I need to see something right quick. Give me a second. Y'all just talk amongst yourselves, because I want to make sure I get my information right before I get on my soapbox and give you what I think. I want to make sure I am correct in this. Yes, this is Ja'Cory's junior year. Okay, yeah, good. I was going to say that. I want to make sure, because I'm sitting here running my mouth. Thank you, QB. I'm just saying. We'll save it. Let's move on. All right. See if I got this right. There we go. The next week, Miami goes to Virginia. Yeah, I take that back. Your number 22 Miami Hurricanes take on the Cavaliers of Virginia at Virginia. Get rid of something right quick. We'll do that. There we go. And unfortunately, Miami drops it 24-19. It's Virginia, bro. I'm telling you, it's just Virginia. And the sad thing, a couple of game notes I have is, what's up, Wayne? How you doing, man? So Virginia, I don't want to throw salt into the wound, but it is what it is. Virginia was winless in the ACC up to this game. Greg Cooper came back, ready to play. Harris, Ja'Cory got hurt with I think it was like 12 minutes left in the second. I think he had a concussion, I believe. And Spencer Whipple came in. His first pass in his college career at Miami was an interception. And then his fifth pass, Spencer Whipple, fifth pass of the game was an interception before halftime. Okay. Coming into the third quarter, that's where we get a taste of Mr. Stephen Morris, which I really like Mr. Morris. I thought another good talent that was in the wrong place at the wrong time, if you ask me. Technically, I think Stephen Morris was one of the best talented quarterbacks Miami had. It's just, again, wrong place, wrong time. Okay. Get my face on here while I talk. And if you want to argue the Stephen Morris thing, that's fine. That's fine. Again, I go back to interchange quarterbacks. All right. You put different quarterbacks in different times, but we're not going to get into that. And of course, he was QB. Morris had a great arm. But here's the thing. And I couldn't believe I saw this. And when I saw it, I had to share it with y'all. Stephen Morris's first pass as a Miami Hurricane in a game was, can you guess? A wide receiver screen pass. I mean, do they have this scripted playbook in a vault somewhere in Coral Gables, in the I can't say the basement of the university, because I don't think they have basements in Miami. Kind of like here, we don't have basements over here, but there's got to be like this, break glass in case of emergency playbook that you pull out, and when you have a new quarterback, a freshman first play, wide receiver screen. I mean, I'm telling you, if you don't believe me, go check. And if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong, and I'll say I'm wrong. But I swear I saw his first pass, because I wanted to make sure I went back and rewatched it because I wanted to see it, because I have such high opinions of Mr. Morris, and I saw that first pass was wide receiver screen. I'm like, oh my gosh, that kind of reminded me of the 8 for 23 South Beach Savior, but I digress. So moving on. So like I said, Virginia was up 24-0 at the start of the fourth quarter. This is a winless Virginia team. Winless in the ACC, excuse me. Against Miami. They were up 24-0. Now, and we're going to get to this, but I have, game notes. I will say Stephen Morris had a 60-yard touchdown pass to Travis Benjamin. It came with about, I think 4.5 left in the fourth. Let's get back to it right quick here. Bam. Pull up my yeah. So yeah, here we go. Virginia scored the first 24 points. Miami scored the last 19 points. As you can see, Hankerson had a 29-yard touchdown pass from Mr. Morris. The 2-point conversion failed. And then Morris had a 9-yard run. And then there's the 60-yard pass I was talking about. And it was a nice pass. Oh my gosh, it was a nice pass. I remember, when I see these young men come in for the first time, whether it be their freshman year, sophomore year, whenever their first time throwing, and I saw that pass, and of course I watched the highlights, and it helped me to remember. It rekindled the memory that I'm like, man, I remember seeing that. It's kind of like when it's kind of like when Kaya threw that pass. Crap, I don't remember what game it was, but he threw the pass, and it looked like it was at home, and he threw it to the bottom of the goal post, the pad of the goal post, for the receiver to catch. And it was actually the only place that receiver could catch the ball without the defender getting it. And when I saw that Kaya pass, I'm like, wow. It's moments like that when you see it. But yeah, when I saw that Morris thing, I was like, wow. Of course, what do I know? I just watched the games. What do I know? I guess I'm just reminiscing about what could have been instead of what actually was. That's why I say if you watched Mr. Brown in the pinstripe game and you watched how he threw, what he threw, you would understand why I say we don't need Cam Ward or Poffenbarger. All right, let's get back to this. Let's get back to this. I'm getting on my soapbox. All right, so yeah, looking at the team statistics right quick. I tell you what, y'all read this. I need to step away for just 1 second. This is an official bathroom break. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I know y'all missed me. Yeah, QB, you're right. You are, yeah. All right. So looking at the team stats, looks like okay. Miami was 24 first downs to UVA's 18. Of course, this is the winless in the ACC Virginia team. Miami did have 179 yards rushing, but UVA had 185 on 46 attempts versus 29 attempts for Miami. Now, Miami did have a little over 6 yards per rush. Virginia only had 4. But, and I think this was, I was talking about how Mr. Harris left early in the second quarter with a concussion. If I'm not mistaken, he had threw a pass and got just bombarded on a sack. as he released the ball and hit the ground pretty hard. There were, passing, Miami was 18 of 42 with 5 interceptions. We'll get to the individual stats in a moment. UVA was 19 of 27 for 1 interception. Total offense, 448 for Miami, 361 for Virginia. And you know what I'm looking for. Miami was 5 of 12 on third down. UVA was 6 of 17. Now, again, in all fairness, Harris left early in the second. And this is where we're going to find out what exactly happened. So if you look at the rushing yards, not bad numbers. I mean, Barry had 11 for 42. Mr. Benjamin had that 1 for 36. I believe that was a little end around or something. But Cooper come back, 3 rushes for 30. Miller, 6 for 28. Mike James, 3 for 24. And Mr. Morris scrambled 3 times for 23. Now, again, Mr. Morris, freshman. Okay, first time getting thrown. No, let's step back. Let's bring in Mr. Whipple. I think Mr. Whipple came in as a junior, so he had experience. Mr. Whipple came in 2 of 6. Like I said, his first pass in his Miami Hurricane uniform on the field, interception. And then the 5th pass, interception. Mr. Whipple ended up 2 of 6 for 22 yards. I just don't think he's not going to cut it as quarterback 2, QB2. All right. Now, Mr. Morris, Mr. Stephen Morris. Now, let me get my face back on camera because I want to make sure y'all see me when I say this. So, with Mr. Morris, true freshman. This seems to be a trend. Okay, true freshman getting in the game, and due to the fact that they are true freshmen, were playing high school ball the year before, they come out, they're thrown into the fire. Now I will say they should have Whipple. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. But what I'm saying is, that still doesn't negate the fact that these young men should have at least been given the coaching and to be able to come in. Not saying they're going to come in and be another, I don't know, an Emory Williams 8 for 23. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying, they could have been. But again, it was Mr. Morris's first time. So I may be biased in my opinion. I may be showing favoritism, but it was his first time in the college game, being a freshman. He did go 9 of 22. He had 2 interceptions, but he did have 162 yards, 2 touchdowns. His longest play, his pass play was 60 yards. And when Mr. Harris went out, he wasn't doing too bad. He was 7 of 13. Yeah, he had the 1 interception, but he had the 85 yards. That's like, it was only like maybe a quarter of work. So, it was what it was, and of course, last season, 2009, let me specify that, last 2009, it was Marvin Harris. Okay. 2008. No. It was Marv and it was Harris by himself. The year before it was Harris and Marv. Okay, I'm gonna try to remember this. So it's not like Mr. Harris had a backup. Unlike Mr. $1 Million Man Cam Ward, where you have endless possibilities with a Poffenbarger, Mr. Brown, South Beach Savior, Judd. It's a different scenario. Just say it. I'm just telling you the data. Anyway, one thing here, you only have four different guys make receptions, but between Hankerson at the 90 and a touchdown, Mr. Bird and Mr. Benjamin had 78 yards. Benjamin didn't have that touchdown. So it wasn't too bad, but Virginia had that 200. I'm going to go ahead and just say 185, 200 yards rushing. And, you had, Payne with 81, Jones 69, Horn 29, etc. And this was the winless. This Virginia team was winless in the ACC. Again, I understand Harris went down. Whipple didn't pan out. Morris was a true freshman. But what happened to the defense, Mr. Lovett? What happened? I know you had interceptions. I get that. But I digress. No need getting upset over what's happening. So looking at Miami's defensive individual stats, no sacks. They did have 5 tackles for loss for minus 14 yards on Virginia. Virginia did have Mr. Carter and Minifield combined for a sack. They did have Virginia's defense did have 4 tackles for losses for 17 yards. And that was basically the Virginia game. It was, it was kind of disturbing. It was kind of disturbing seeing Mr. Harris go down like that. It was scary because, back then, you didn't have all these concussion protocols and all that good stuff. But in a way, I'm kind of glad the coaching staff did keep him out, even though you knew what you had sitting in the wings, in the bullpen. But honestly, I'm really glad they kept Harris out and didn't try to put him back in after the halftime. It was, it was a loss. It wasn't pretty. It was ugly, but from a personal standpoint, it was good to see. It was good to see them keep Mr. Harris out because, it could have really been bad. Could have been bad for Mr. Harris, Could have been bad. All right. Let's see. What am I doing? Here we go. All right. So this brings us. I got stuff all screwed up. All right. So the next week, this is week 9. Miami your unranked Miami Hurricanes take on Maryland. Let me see here. Miami did pull out a 26-20 victory at home against the Terrapins. The only notes I really have is, of course, Mr. Morris started. Jakari was still out. Mr. Stephen Morris did have the game-winning touchdown pass. It went to Hankerson with about 37 seconds left. Yep, I got that right. Cool. So it was, again, true freshman. This has kind of been a theme the last few years, these last few seasons that we've talked about on this series. Luckily it was Mr. Morris, let's see here. So it started off. Miami got that touchdown. Mr. Miller had 8-yard touchdown, and then I guess the extra point was fumbled. Maryland went up 14-6, but then Miami battled back. Couple of field goals, and then, like I said, with 37 seconds left, Hankerson caught that 35-yard touchdown pass. Crowd goes wild. Everything is good. So, looking at the numbers, as you can see, Miami got 25 first downs to Maryland's 15. Miami outrushed Maryland damn near 2-1. 2-1. 218 for Miami, 96 for Maryland. I mean, Miami had 49 rushing attempts to Maryland's 25. Miami was averaging damn near half a yard more per rush play. And then, of course, passing, Maryland was 11 of 30 for 1 interception. Miami was 18 of 30 for 2 interceptions, but Miami outgained them in passing 286 to 158 with a true freshman. Okay. And in total yards, this is crazy. Total yards, Miami outgained Maryland 504 to 254. That's crazy. Miami was 9 of 17. They're batting over 500. 9 of 17 on third down. Maryland was 3 of 12. Looking at the individual offensive stats here, Miller had 22 rushes for 125. Mike James had 10 for 51. Cooper got back into the action again, 10 for 40. And, of course, Mr. Morris had 6 rushes for 13. Meggett for Maryland had 9 for 70. Scott, 9 for 30. Passing, Mr. Morris was 18 of 30 with 2 interceptions for 286. He had a touchdown. His longest pass play was 53 yards, but the poor dude was sacked 3 times. As far as Maryland goes, O'Brien, 9 of 28, 1 interception for 134. They brought in the relief quarterback, 2 of 2. Mr. Robinson, 2 of 2 for only 24 yards. Receiving, it looks like Benjamin and Bird had the most receptions, but you did have 6 different people get a reception. I like that. With Hankerson, the only one getting a receiving touchdown. So it was just, they just couldn't get the ball in the end zone. Just couldn't happen. But again, true freshman at quarterback, but that's beside the point. So looking at defense, Maryland did have 3 sacks. They also had 7 tackles for loss for minus 31 against Miami. Miami's defense, you had Bailey and Vernon. Mr. Olivier both had a sack. And Miami's defense had 4 tackles for loss for 19 yards of loss. So looking at the starting lineup, the depth chart, as you can see, Mr. Miller was in, Mr. Hill was in at fullback. But again, if I just put that up there in case y'all want to see that for future reference, or if you want to go back and pause, whatever, however. So, what am I doing here? That's what I'm doing. So right now, Miami is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They are at 6. They are at 6-3. Miami is at 6-3. All right, let me write that down because I just write whether they won or lost, but I'm going to say I'm going to put in a tally here. Okay, so that brings us to our next one here. This is going to be against, number 15, Georgia Tech. Miami takes on number 15, Georgia Tech at Georgia Tech, by the way. And if y'all have been paying attention, y'all do know that Georgia Tech has been a thorn in Miami's side. Boom. And believe it or not, Miami comes out and wins 35-10. 35-10. Let's see here. Only game notes I really have from what I saw in the highlights. Of course, Morris, this is his second start at quarterback. One thing also very impressive about this during this game, this touchdown right here, this 79-yard touchdown reception that Hankerson got from Morris in the third quarter. That was his 11th. That was Hankerson's 11th touchdown of the season, which tied him. Hankerson tied Michael Irvin's record from 1986. So that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Honestly, Miami come out and just never looked back. Miami jumped out. As you can see, they were out to a 14-3 lead at halftime. And it got to 14-10, but that was about it. That was about it. Miami actually took care of business against the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Now, as you can see, Miami, with this win, Miami goes to 7-3. All right. And 5-2 in conference. Georgia Tech drops to 5-5 and 3-4 in conference. And if you've been paying attention, no matter what Georgia Tech's record is, overall and or conference, it's never really worked out for Miami. So looking at the team stats, Miami had 24 first downs, Georgia Tech 20. Georgia Tech did outrush Miami 308 to 277. Of course, this is in the era of the triple option. I made a mistake and call it a spread option. My fault, my mistake. I learned. Thank you, Cuban. Miami did Miami had 230 yards passing to Georgia Tech's 101. Miami was 10 of 18 in passing. No interceptions. Very good. Georgia Tech 7 of 17. Altogether, Miami outgained Georgia Tech by almost 100 yards, 507 to 409. And you know what I'm looking for. Miami was 3 of 10 on third down. 3 of 10. Wow. Good old 30%. 30 to 35% on third down. Georgia Tech was 7 of 15 on third down. I don't know what it is about Miami and third down. I don't get it. All right. Looking at the individual statistics, Mr. Miller, who's been getting a lot of play time here, he was 11 rushes for 85. Mr. Barry, 15 for 73. Mike James, 10 for 60. Mr. Johnson had that 1 rush for 21. Mr. Cooper getting back into the flow of things, 4 rushes for 20 yards. Mr. Morris got 16. Mr. Morris was 10 of 18, like I said, 230, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, and his longest pass play was 80 yards, 79 yards. So very good. Pretty good. Of course, on the Georgia Tech side, since really, they went retro 70 big 8 offense. You got T. Washington had 21 rushes for 122. Smith, you see it. They ended up with 308 yards rushing because they had 59 rush attempts. Hey, Katie, how you doing, Katie? Uh, I think by 2010, you were probably out the papoose. You know, I don't know. I don't know. If you weren't, that's okay. If you were, that's okay too. So looking at passing, of course, Georgia Tech, the quarterback 7 of 16 for 101. He was sacked twice, had one touchdown. Receiving for Miami, you had 5 different guys touch the ball for 230. Doesn't matter. They were able to pull out the victory. In Morris's second start, by the way. Defensive, you could walk by 08. Excuse me. So looking at the defense right quick against Georgia Tech, you had McCarthy and Bailey combined for a sack, along with Fortson for a sack. The defense did have 10 tackles for loss, for 39 yards of loss against Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech only had 2 tackles for loss for only 4 yards. So, yeah, it was, that was good. That was really good. So, this is where it gets interesting, because this is where we have, oh, wait a minute. What happened? Oh, dear Lord. This is where $1.25 Tree Production Studios comes into effect right here. Hang on. Give me a second. Give me just a second, because my usual, where I get my stats, my PDFs, college, pressbox.com, did not have the Virginia Tech, but I wonder why. Okay, we'll just have to use that, I guess. I thought, all right, y'all hang on. I gotta do something right quick here. I thought I had did this. Nope. Nope, that didn't do it. All right, hang on. I gotta fix this. Hang on. That's why I thought I had the Virginia Tech game, they didn't have the PDF, so I got all the stuff for the info. But when it gets to the USF game, I thought I had everything ready to go, but I guess I didn't. So hang on, I'm getting my shit together. Let me add. Where you at? Yeah, I try to make this. Sometimes I try to get too fancy, I guess. Where you at? There you go. Oh, wait a minute. Why is this not? I thought. Oh, this is crazy. Nope, you can't see that yet. Okay, we're going to move on. We are going to move on. I know I got a black screen. Why did I not put my camera on? Hello. Okay. Oh my gosh. I'll tell you, if y'all want professionalism, don't stay around here. All right, so this brings us to let's bring this up. Get rid of me. not Georgia Tech. This brings us to number 14, Virginia Tech. Your number 24, Miami Hurricanes, take on the number 14, Virginia Tech Hokies. Couple of game notes. This is the game that Miami brought out those ugly ass uniforms. They call them the Nike Combat, I think it was. I thought it was the ugliest thing in the world. Just my opinion. You had orange pants, orange jersey, green sleeves, and the green helmet. I thought it was the ugliest. I want to make sure you see my face. It was the ugliest uniform I had ever seen, next to the one they wore a few years ago. The orange with the green. This. Oh my gosh. In my opinion, it was ugly. Couple of things, some more game notes on this. Mr. Lamar Miller had a career best 163 yards rushing in this game. Miami had 6 turnovers in this game. That was the worst since 1999 against Virginia Tech. So you see where this is going. One good thing, Hankerson had a touchdown, his 12th of the season, which broke Michael Irvin's single season record. Another good thing is, well, no, let's get into this. Let me find my. Let's see. Is this what I'm thinking it is? Yes. Cool. Okay, let me get myself out the way. No, get that out the way too. Yeah, it'd be so much easier if I could get the PDFs to all this and I'd have to go all over the place. So yes, Miami loses this game 31-17. If you notice, I had to switch formats here. I had to go to Sports Reference. So y'all just pay attention. So yeah, like I said, it was 17-17 going to the fourth quarter. Then Virginia Tech just come out. You had, as you can see, Ryan Williams had an 84-yard run at the beginning of the fourth quarter, and then Tyrod Taylor 18-yard run, and that was basically game, set, and match. It was crazy. So nope, don't bring that up. I mean, you can see the team stats. Miami had 23 first downs, and Notre Dame only had 19. Rushing yards, Virginia Tech had 4 rushing, 48 attempts for 251. Miami had 42 at 262. Virginia Tech had the 3 rushing touchdowns. Miami had 1. Virginia Tech was 8 of 15 for 118 and 1 touchdown passing. No interceptions. Miami was 15 of 33. 202 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions, which is part of the 6 turnovers. Total yards, Miami outgained Virginia Tech 464 to 369. Miami had 3 fumbles, lost all 3. Virginia Tech had a fumble and lost it. But again, you got 3 interceptions, 3 fumbles. I mean, that's 6 turnovers. Yes. So odds are you're not going to win very many games like that, And like I said, Virginia Tech came into this game 9-1, or excuse me, 8-2. Miami came into this game 7-3. So it was what it was. The passing, like I said, Tyrod 7 of 14 for 94 yards, but who cares? They were running the hell out the ball. Mr. Morris, this was his third start as a freshman in a Miami uniform. 15 of 33. He did have 3 interceptions, but he did have a touchdown. Looking at the rushing, Ryan Williams ran all over Miami with 142 yards. Darrell Evans had 73. As far as Miami goes, Lamar Miller, like I said, he had a career best, 163 yards rushing. Barry had 47. Mike James had 30. Morris and Cooper got into the act with 12 and 10. Receiving, which Virginia Tech really didn't have to do. 83 yards on 4 catches for Cole. And then, some little chump change catches there for Virginia Tech. As far as Miami goes, you did have 5 different guys get receptions. Looks like Mr. Johnson got into the act finally. Hankerson led everybody with 6 receptions at almost 79, 80 yards. Benjamin been kind of quiet this year so far. 3 receptions, 64. Cleveland gets into the act as a freshman with 32. Bird with only 20. As far as defensive stuff goes, it looks like Haas had an interception. Morgan had an interception, and Edwards had an interception for Virginia Tech. Looks like Stephen Friday had 2 sacks for Virginia Tech. With as far as Miami goes, looks like Mr. Spence had a sack. Vernon had a sack. Ojimo had a sack. Robinson had a sack. But, again, it was 17-17 going into the fourth quarter. And like I said, it was, they hit that 84-yard touchdown run, and, it was what it was. It was what it was. So, with that being said, let me bring myself back on camera because I gotta get this US. I thought I had the USF, the South Florida game, the stats and whatnot. I don't know what happened. I don't know why. Let's see if it's going to let me do this. Y'all just, let's see here. What am I looking for? This. Get rid of that. Yes. All right. Let's see if it's going to let me do what I need to do. I know. It's crazy. I should have did this before I got on the damn live stream, but you know what? It is what it is. Okay. Let's get rid of that. All right. Oh, I see what happened. Okay, let me see if this is going to work. Nope, didn't work. Why is it not working? Man, why can't things work like I want them to? All right, here's what we're going to do. Y'all just hang on a second. Let me see if I can fix this because I'm doing all this nonsense to try to. I got this one game, South Florida game. And I really don't want to talk about this game, but I have to give it credence. Know what I mean? I have to talk about it because it is their last game of the season. All right. Oh, snap. What the hell did I just do? Get rid of that. Get that off there. I mean, those who remember know that it was not pretty. I know I should have said spoiler alert, but I'm telling you right now, it was what it was. All right, so I think I got this right. So if any of y'all are talking bad about me on StreamYard, that's okay because I'm in the business of trying to get my crap together here. I should have done this before I got on camera, but it's been crazy. It has been crazy. Okay, so with that being said, what the heck did I just do? Okay, take that off. All right, here we are. Last game of the season. I finally got my shit together. Thank y'all for being so patient with me. It is Miami versus USF. And this was at Miami, by the way. Yep. There it is. The hell is this? Oh, yeah. This is crazy. I've got crap all over the place here. All right, so Miami takes on USF. Miami comes into the game 7-4, USF 6-4. Couple of game notes. As you can see, Miami did drop it 23-20. A couple of notes about this game. Harris, Ja'Cory came back with about 9 minutes left in the third. As you can see, Miami didn't score until like 3 minutes left in the third quarter. Luckily, the man with the best name in Miami history other than William Shakespeare, Storm Johnson, had that 71-yard run, as you can see. Hankerson broke. Well, he broke it with the 12th. That's Virginia Tech, dumbass. Learn to read. Okay. USF did tie the game, as you can see, with about 2 minutes left on a 1-yard touchdown run. In overtime, Miami did have a field goal, but then on South Florida's first possession, they scored a touchdown from the 1-yard line. Game, set, and match. So, with that being said, looking at the team stats now that I got my head out my ass here, it was basically nip and tuck, you know. I don't know what Miami was thinking, but then again, you know, South Florida, this was their Super Bowl. Rushing, Miami outran USF by 30 yards, 165-35. Miami ran the ball 39 times, USF 46. Passing, Miami was 20 of 35, 2 interceptions, USF 12 of 27. Miami had 188 passing, USF 159. Total offense, Miami outgained USF 353-294. Third down conversions. Oh my gosh, y'all, I can't highlight it, but Miami, it's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 from the bottom. Third down conversion. Miami was 9 of 21. 9 of 21 on third down. Really? Typical Miami in this time frame. USF was 3 of 14. All right, looking at individual stats. For Miami, Storm had 5 rushes for 75 yards. Of course, he had that 71-yard run, so he was able to average 15 yards. Barry had 55 yards on 15 carries. For USF, I'm gonna say Mr. Moisey, because that could be Planchier or Plancher. I don't know. Over here it's Planchier, but I'll just say Mr. Moisey. He had 24 rushes for 101 yards. Dimitri Murray had 13 rushes for 42. Bobby Eveld for USF was 8 of 15 for 120, and then BJ Daniels was 4 of 12 for 39. I think BJ started the game. So it looks like Mr. Stephen Morris, he started the game. He was 8 of 17, 1 interception for 78. Then Mr. Harris come in, 12 of 18, 1 interception for 110. As you can see, there was like 8 different people got receptions, even though Mr. Cooper had 2 for -1 and Mr. Miller 1 for -5. Mr. Hankerson had 9 receptions for 127. As far as USF goes, you can see the numbers. Miller 4 of 60 on receptions. Dontavia Bogan 3 for 56, etc., etc. So, yeah, it was crazy. I still can't believe they let South Florida beat them. But then again, it is what it is. So looking at defense right quick, USF had 1 sack. They had 6 tackles for losses for a -25. Miami, Ojimo had 2 sacks, and I don't know why they got that team for 1 sack. Who cares? Miami had 3 sacks total on the game. They had 8 tackles for losses for a -31 against UCF. So, the heck is going on here? What is still on? Oh, there I am. I know this is crazy. Y'all deserve better than what I'm giving you right now, but anyway, here it is. I just said your hair looks black. Don't. Man, like I said, it's crazy. I know. Oh, Cuban, you're so adorable. I love it. Nah, it's just that when I do this stuff, I the college press. I try to do PDFs. That way I can pull up Adobe, share it, click through it, go to the next game, click through it, tab next. You know what I'm saying? But for some reason, they didn't have the 2010 Virginia Tech game on PDF. And then as you're about to see, they did not have the bowl game on PDF. And it's really annoying, but it's cool. So with that being said, let's see here. Miami finishes with 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. Miami finishes the year 7-5. 7-5. That's right. I said it. 7-5. They do going to. Let me bring it up. Where's it at? There it is. Do 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 do. Wait a minute. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Ba. There we go. Sun Bowl against Notre Dame in El Paso, Texas. You know, I actually thought this was going to be a pretty good game. Miami versus Notre Dame. How can you go wrong? You know? Of course, if I'm not mistaken, it had snowed like the night before or something like that. So it was a Sun Bowl with snow everywhere. They got the field cleaned off. But it was the night before it snowed. So, oh my gosh, I really don't even want to get into this. This is so hard. Y'all just don't realize how difficult this is. And I know y'all do because, I mean, everybody knows what happens. It's not like it's something, you know. All right. Get me out the way. Yes, Miami lost the game 33-17. 33-17. They lose to Notre Dame in the Sun Bowl. Like I said, game notes, it did snow the night before. Luckily, the grounds crew got all of it off the ground on the field. One thing I did notice about this game was the interceptions and penalties for Miami. But let's look at it. Let's look at it. As you can see, it was 23-7 Notre Dame at halftime. You know, luckily Bosher hit that 47 with no time left. You know, Notre Dame jumps out to a 21-0 lead early in the second. Then they get some field goals. And, you know, Miami kind of made it interesting with, you know, a couple of touchdowns, but it just wasn't that close. It really wasn't. And here's the numbers. So, you know, everything with the exception of the rushing, you know, Notre Dame had 48 rushes for 196 and a touchdown. Miami had 25 for 87. Oh, wait a minute. Hold up. Stop the presses. Hang on. I jumped ahead of myself. Oh, let me get myself back on camera here. Nope, don't want that. I want this. All right. Get this out the way. I forgot. I even highlighted this. Okay. We'll get back to Notre Dame momentarily. I'm sorry I jumped ahead, but Miami finished second in the Coastal at 5-3, 7-6 overall. Miami finished 3-3 at home. That was the worst since 1997. In 4 seasons, Randy Shannon went 28-22. Now, if you remember at the first part of this video almost 3 hours ago, I said that Shannon had got back in May, Shannon had got a 4-year extension. Make sure I'm not lying. Yeah. In May of 2010. Okay, we're in December. All right. Or we're at the end of November. Shannon got a 4-year extension. 4-year extension before the 2010 season started. And on November 27th, 28th, right after that USF game, Shannon got fired for going 7-6. Now he was 9-4 the previous year. So I posed this question: Would if Mario goes 7-6 or 7. It goes 7-5 because actually the regular season 7-5. Okay, would that have happened to Mario? Would Miami have fired Mario? Just asking the question for you to think about. But apparently the standard was there in 2010 because, Miami finishes, that 7-5 when Shannon got fired. Now, of course, the previous season they were 9-3, 9-4, including the bowl game. You had a lot of interceptions by Mr. Harris. We'll get into all that. But you this is one of those situations where you see all that happen in 2010, but yet you see all this crap happen today. You see where I'm getting at? All right, let me move on. Let's keep the wheels turning. So, like I said, Shannon was fired. Stoutland was the interim head coach on November 28th. And if I'm not mistaken, Al Golden was hired a few weeks later. And I believe Al Golden was in attendance at the Sun Bowl. That's okay. That's just the wife checking on me, make sure I'm still alive, still breathing. But yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I know I done jumped ahead, but I even highlighted this because I wanted to talk about this before I got to the Sun Bowl. But yeah, I believe Al Golden was in attendance at the Sun Bowl. So with that being said, let's get back to the regular. Where'd he go? There it is. Okay, so the Sun Bowl. Again, Miami loses. They finish the season 7-6. Randy Shannon has already been fired like over a month ago. Al Golden's already hired. He's in attendance at the Sun Bowl. We talked about the team stats. As you can see, Miami was 10 penalties for 90 yards. Imagine that. Miami versus Notre Dame. Who's going to get the flags thrown against them? But I digress. So, like I said, Harris came in with 9 minutes left in the third. But, Stephen Morris, freshman, first bowl game, he was 22 of 33, 282. He had 2 touchdowns and an interception. Mr. Harris comes in, 4 of 7, 37 yards, 3 interceptions. Now, I don't know what to say. Tommy Reese for Notre Dame was 15 of 29. He had 2 touchdowns for 201 yards. Rushing, as you can see, Barry, 9 rushes for 34, and Storm 2 for 20, Miller 5 for 13. Receiving, it's like everybody and their brother caught a pass. Hankerson led everybody with 71 yards on 6 receptions. Bird 4 for 47, Benjamin 3 for 44. Streeter caught 1 pass for 42 yards. At least he got his money's worth. Notre Dame, get that back up. You had both Hughes and Wood had 81 yards rushing. Hughes 27 attempts, Wood 12 with an attempt with 1 touchdown. Receiving, Michael Floyd for Notre Dame had 6 for 109. Defense, Miami had they didn't have 1 sack. Not 1 sack. McCarthy did have 1.5. Let's see here. It doesn't give me a total. Damn, I'm not adding all that. They did have some tackles for loss, but Notre Dame did have one sack on defense. Prince Shimbo, one sack. But honestly, like I said, the interceptions and the penalties, it stifled Miami. It just stifled them. It did, you know. And they just didn't get it done. They just didn't get it done. Trying to get all this under control. Again, I appreciate y'all's patience with me and my inadequacies here, but it is $1.25 tree production. Next year it might be $7 tree. Anyway, yeah, you're right, Cuban. You're right. Mario said, "Hold my beer." And Katie, yeah, back then coaches got 5 years to get it done and could get fired. Yeah, you know, in 2009 culture. That's right. It's always the culture. In 2009, Shannon went 9-4, 9-3 regular season, 9-4 total, and then the next year, 7-5, 7-6 overall, and got fired. But he actually went 7-5 and got fired. You know, not counting that Mr. Harris. I mean, I'm gonna call it like I see it. You know, Mr. Harris was. Let's see, he was knocked out in the Virginia game, the second quarter. Yeah, it was early. He played like Mr. Harris had like 1 quarter under his belt against Virginia. Got the concussion. He was out. You try Whipple. Didn't happen. So you bring in Marsh, true freshman. Okay, so Marsh starts 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 games. Now, Harris did come in during the USF game. He did come in during the Notre Dame game, but that's beside the point. You basically spent the last 1, 2, 3, 4, almost the last half the season starting a true freshman quarterback, which is basically what you did with Harris 2 years before. So, and like I said, poor Harris. He just really wasn't allowed to develop. He never got a chance to develop. He was thrown into the fire. Just kind of like what Mr. Brown was a couple of years ago. Just wasn't able to develop. I'm just cleaning some stuff up here while we chit chat. So yeah, again, you take the 2010, all right, and compare it to now. All right, so let's take Shannon's 2010. Or no, let's rephrase that. Let's go back. So let's say Mario does do the 9-10 wins. Okay, let's say Mario matches Randy Shannon, even though Mario's got. Well, I'm not gonna say he has more talent. He has more experience on the team. Would Mario get fired after next season if he goes 7-5? I doubt it, because he's getting paid $8 million a year. I would be willing to guarantee you that if Mario goes, let's say Mario gets the 10 wins. Let's say Mario loses the bowl game this coming season. Let's live in the land of what if. If Mario was to go 7-5 in 2025, do they fire him after winning 10 plus? Because remember, in 2017, Mark Richt went 10-3. The next year he was like, what, I have to look the numbers. I want to say 8-4, maybe 8-5. They didn't fire Rick. Rick stepped down. So I'm just asking that question. I'm not trying to insinuate. I'm not trying to implicate. I'm just, what there are a lot of tendencies. There are a lot of coincidences, a lot of trends. There are a lot of trends that have repeated themselves over the last 20 years. I'm just saying, would it happen? I don't know. I can't answer that right now, but in my mind, in my gut, I say no. I think Miami would have to go like 1-12 or 1-11 or 0-12 for them to fire Mario. I mean, Miami. I mean, it would have. I'm just saying. But of course, before we get into the post game action, I want to expound what I was talking about earlier, Cuban, and you would probably appreciate it. So, at the beginning of this, like 3 hours ago, I was in my monologue and I was talking about Cuban, your good friend Ben from You Heard, put a tweet out on X, whatever you are, Twix. And he basically, I'm gonna pull this up because I want to make sure that I get this right, because I don't want to I don't want that. I don't want to misspeak. All right. I'm getting my Twitter up here. Okay. Where is it at? Okay. So, well, I can't say Ben, but the You Heard account on Twitter X. It says it says, we asked on last night's show if you could hit the time travel portal of 4 Canes from the past 20 years to be in this team, who would you pick? Let's hear them. Okay, so I took that as, what 4 players from the last 20 years would you pick to be on the 2024 team? Okay, again, this is right up our wheelhouse, people. This is what we've been talking about for the last friggin' month and a half. That's what we've been doing. And I thank y'all so much for being here for all this. So I'm thinking, all right, what 4 players would do great on this year's team? Talent-wise. I'm not just the players and their talent for what we saw. I replied with Ja'Cory Harris, the senior Ja'Cory Harris, if he would have had the same opportunities and development. Greg Cooper, Leonard Hankerson, and Kenny Phillips. All right. And I also replied, nah, dude, there was talent. It was just not utilized properly. Okay. That, in my opinion, has been the common theme since 2001. I wasn't going Cuban on them. No disrespect, Cuban. I'm just saying. I'm just like, there was talent. There's been talent on these teams since 2003, basically since we've started this Rise of the Fall stuff. Okay? It just hasn't been utilized properly. You've had Ja'Cory Harris thrown in the fire as a freshman. You've had, Robert Marr, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then Ben, this is Cuban's man. Cuban's good friend. They go out for donuts and coffee every morning, or whatever you find folks in South Florida do in the mornings. I think y'all have like the little Cuban coffee and fancy South Florida donuts, but it's cool. It's all good. That's not the point. So Ben replies to me and says, look at the records beginning in 2004 and onward. Okay, like I haven't done that before. Then look at the rosters. I think we romanticize what we think they should have been for what they actually were. But that's just my opinion. Okay, I'm just a blooming moron. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just throwing names out there. And when he said, look at the records beginning in 2004 and onward. Okay, in 20 years, Katie. So basically from 2003 till now. Basically the folks that we have been talking about for the last 6 weeks. We started with 2004. They're going back to 2003. But yeah, I like those four. Okay, so that's what we've been doing. That's what I've been doing. I haven't looked at the friggin' record. I've been going, dude. I know I'm preaching to the choir. Cafe con leche. I hope I said that right. But isn't that what we've been doing? Okay. Cuban. Oh, crap. I forgot to put the StreamYard link up. Oh, my gosh. I am so sorry. Oh, shoot. I just realized I'm sorry. But Cuban, you've been right beside me on screen for the last 6 weeks. Katie, you've been here with us. QB, you've been here with us. And the only reason why I'm using those 3 names is because that's the 3 names I see. There's been other folks. Shad has been with us. Other folks have been with us. Phil's been with us, etc. Anyway, but y'all know, I don't just go over the record. I go through team statistics. I go through the scoring summary. I go through offensive individual stats. I pull up defensive individual stats. And then, I haven't got to it yet, I go through the end of year stats. That is why I do it. Is because no disrespect to Ben. No disrespect. Nothing but respect for the man. But look at the records beginning in 2004 and onward. Then look at the rosters. I think we romanticize what we think they should have been for what they actually were. But that's just his opinion. Okay. If y'all remember correctly, when I went, at first I wasn't, but I guess I'm on my soapbox. We're going to get to the postseason stats. Y'all just play along with me, okay? If y'all remember, I showed the records for the coaches. There was a lot of trends, a lot of consistencies that's happened over the years. Mark Richt was the anomaly. So anyway, so after that romanticizing, because I'm just looking, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not looking at the roster versus the record, or I'm not doing that. I haven't done that yet. So I reply, I must have misunderstood the question. Sorry about that. With that being cleared up, then based on the results of the last 20 rosters, I guess no one should be on this year's team. So I was being a little sarcastic. I was being sarcastic. And then, okay, I didn't see this. Ben replied, there were solid players on the team over the last 20 years, but after our 12 picks on the pod last night, we found ourselves struggling to get 12 names that we really wanted on this team. You have got to be friggin' shitting me. You mean to tell me? Okay, I'm stopping. Bring it down. Bring it down. Bring it down. Oh my gosh. Bring it down. Bring it down. Oh, if I wanted to, I could go through the rosters. I guarantee you I can find 12 people. I guarantee you I could find 11 people on offense, 11 people on defense. I'll take right now over the team we have over the past. You give me the last 20 seasons. I guarantee you I can find 11 offensive players. I don't care if this does get out. This pisses me off. Okay? This really ticks me off. This is what I'm talking about. I wasn't going to get upset, but I'm upset now, damn it. I am friggin'. I'm sorry. If my audio sounds like shit, I'm sorry, but this pisses me off. I spend a lot of time and a lot of effort doing what I'm doing right now. I don't have to do this. I think it's a great idea. I think it's something that needs to be done. I think it's something to help people find folks like Katie and the younger Canes generation to understand some of the history that we older Canes fans are frustrated about in reference to this year. All right? I spend a lot of time doing what I do. I do it because I like to. Okay? I don't do that. I don't sit here and beg for subscriptions. I don't beg for likes. I don't beg for financial gain. I don't do that. I do it because I like it. It gives me a chance to actually reminisce as an older Canes fan. Well, it kind of pisses me off, but it gives me a chance to reminisce. It gives me a chance to remember stuff that I have forgot. It gives me a chance to fellowship with you. But I'm not trying to be fan police, but this fucking pisses me off. Excuse my language, Miss Katie. But this is what pisses me off. All right? We're just a small group of fine, outstanding people that fellowship together. Okay? We're not some syndicated check cashing group. Okay? We don't have fancy podcasts. We don't have this. We don't have that. And there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what they do, that's what they do. All right? But how did you do? You can go, again, research, do the research, look in the history books. You can go to collegepressbox.com and pull up the media guides. You go anywhere, pull up the media guides except for 2011 because they went digital and I can't find the mother. But anyway, You can pull up everything I have showed y'all, everything that we have taught. That's why I show the stats on screen. You can pull them up. You can look at the highlights on YouTube. And you mean to tell me that you people at You Heard Podcast cannot come up with 12 or 11 offensive players and 11 defensive players that would outdo this 2024 roster? Really? Seriously? Then you know what that tells me? You ain't got a clue. I'm not playing fan police, but it looks to me like you're impersonating a Miami fan. You got your hurricane face on. That's right. I said it. Because if y'all got all this information nowadays, you got all this stuff to talk about, but you can't go back 20 years and say these 11 people on offense, really? Somebody talk me back from the ledge. Somebody talk me back. Somebody bring me back. I'm about to go overboard, and it ain't going to be pretty. That's what pisses me off. I'm sorry. I apologize. Y'all have to hear that. But see, that's the bullshit that pisses me off. I'm not saying I'm any better. I'm not saying I'm any bigger of a fan. I'm just saying, how can you? Oh, no, I've seen the light. But, it's this. This has really pissed me off because of the fact, Cuban. I mean, I know they're all bullshit, but what I'm saying is I've sat here. It's not hard to do. Cuban, you sat right here next to me side by side on the screen, except for today because I forgot. I'm sorry. And I think QB, I don't know if QB's still here. QB's been with us. I don't know if QB's still with us, but I think he kind of jumped in on that or whatever. But it's just the fact that you are getting checks. You're getting this stuff, and you can't go to a website. No, I take that back. I'm 1,000 miles away. You know, Mr. Ben, he seems like a great guy. This is not personal, not whatsoever. But dude, you're there. You're at ground zero in South Florida, dude. You get all the information you need. I'm 1,000 miles away. I'm having to Google and YouTube and search and this and that, and I found it. I go there, I pull the PDF, I share it with y'all. So you mean to tell me, I mean, just with the 04, 05, 06, 07, 08, 09, and then this 10 team, you mean to tell me just with those 6 seasons, 7 seasons, you can't find better? You can't find offensive players or defensive players that can replace this 2014? Shit. I could do that in a heartbeat. You know why? Because we have this thing called upgrade, downgrade, thanks to Cuban Kane. Y'all can, this isn't for y'all. For those of you fine folks who are here with me day in and day out and put up with my old ass self, Katie, Wayne Smith, QB, Shad, Cuba, etc. This ain't for y'all. This is for all the other people out there. Y'all can say what you want to about Cuban. He may be annoying as hell. He may say some of the craziest stuff on the Twitters and stuff, but I tell you what, he has some good ideas in that head of his. He's the one who came up with, talking about what happened. I just tag team with him and said, hey, Rise of the Fall. Let's start it. We did it. His idea. I ran with it. We're doing it together. Okay. Cuban comes up with upgrade, downgrade. Take it. I run with it. And now, oh, man, look, let me tell you one thing. Damn. That's right. I had to pull Florida out on this because that's how I feel right now. I'm throwing punch bowls on the floor saying, damn, damn, damn. Yes, indeed. This other than Shad, this is why I had that. So, at first when I started this, I wasn't really worried. My intention was not to compare, say, 04 to 2023 or 2024. That wasn't my intention. My intention was to show what happened. What the fall. The fall of the rise of the fall. So, okay. But now, oh, shit. It's on like Donkey Kong, baby. I'll upgrade, downgrade. I'll call it like I see it now. No disrespect to the young men. But after this, oh no, it's on now. It's on like Donkey Kong, bro. It is. We're going to upgrade, downgrade everything. And I guarantee you 2023, 2024 is coming up lacking. I'm just saying. I'm just letting y'all know right now. I talked about this. I don't know if I talked about it on my last patio perspective, but, going through all this stuff and all these memories are being rekindled and revisited and coming back to me, I was, it pisses me off back then. And then now it's starting to piss me off now. And especially with all these intellectuals out there. But it's cool. It's cool. It is what it is. All right, where the hell am I at? I got on my soapbox, started ranting and raving, and I don't even know where the hell. Oh, postseason. Yes. All right. Where are we? Let's see. Oh, yeah. I need to pull up my, I got to be able to read this along with y'all. So, if y'all give me just 1 second here. I went on a tangent and I just completely forgot where I was. But we're back in the ball game now. Okay. Appreciate y'all putting up with me. All right, so I don't know if y'all are able to see this very well, but I'm going to talk to you about it. Oh. So basically looking at the stats and stuff for the year. Excuse me. I'm just going to hit some highlights right quick. Miami ended up going 41% on third down conversion. Luckily, the defense was 35% on third down conversion. Excuse me. I am so sorry. Damon Berry was the leading rusher with 899 yards. We'll say 900. Miller was at 646. Mike James, 398. Cooper was at 165. Of course, he was hurt for most of the season. Now, passing, Jakari Harris was 148 at 270. He had 1,800 yards passing. He had 15 interceptions on the year and 14 touchdowns. Mr. Morris came in, like I said, the last few. He had 9 interceptions, 7 touchdowns, and 1,240 yards passing. Receiving, Hackerson had 72 receptions for 1,156 yards receiving. That's a 1,000-yard receiver. I'll take him over anybody right now I'll take 2010 Hackerson over anybody on the 2024 team right now. Hankerson had 13 touchdowns. Benjamin was second with 743 yards receiving, 3 touchdowns. And I would take him also. I would take Hankerson and Benjamin in a heartbeat over Xavier and whoever. I'll take them. I'll take them all day. That's right, I said it. And I haven't even got to the other receivers that we're going to get to. Let's see here. What's our next slide? Is this the next slide? Yes. Here we go. So I know this is probably, it's kind of early to bring this up, but I'm going to bring it up. Looking at the guys from 2010 that were drafted in the next NFL draft, I mean, I'm going to probably touch on it. I'm going to probably touch on it on the 2011 preseason, but looking at the draft, so Orlando Franklin and Brandon Harris, both went in the second round. Franklin to Denver, Harris to Houston. Look at that, Mr. Hankerson. He went third round to the Redskins. Let's see where these receivers end up going. And y'all can hold me to it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I liked Hankerson. He was a big receiver. DeMarcus Van Dyke and Alan Bailey both went in the third round along with Hankerson in the third round. Hankerson went to the Redskins, Van Dyke went to the Raiders, and Bailey went to the Chiefs. Dude, I didn't even get into the I just gave you 4 players. I didn't even get in the defense, really. I mean, you look, I don't make me pull the names. Don't make me do it. I will do it. I will pull it up and look at draft picks. We'll go draft picks. But I digress. Mr. McCarthy went 4th round to the Titans. Mr. Gordon went to the Raiders in the 6th round. And, of course, we know about Bosher. He went to the Falcons in the 6th round. So, with that being said, there I am. Oh no, I'm not dropping anything. I'm here, dude. It may take me a second to get all this fancy crap going and get what you see right and stuff, but I'm here. I ain't going nowhere. You know. So yeah, that's basically 2010. The end of Randy Shannon, the Shannon's last stand. If I had to give my summation on 2010, it was just turnovers, interceptions. And again, I'm not making excuses for Mr. Harris, but the reality is he was thrown into this as a freshman. You know, where was the development of this young man? Where was the quarterback coaching? I'm just saying, because you know, I still remember when that young Bulls class came in. I was excited. I'm like, cool. But it just seems like nobody developed. And now, of course, again, I did not go through. I didn't go through every Jakari, Mr. Harris. I didn't go through each one of his interceptions. I didn't do that. You know, but from the highlights I've seen, you know, there was, you know, a lot of balls through the receiver's hands. Some balls were tipped at the line. You know, Mr. Harris getting sacked or end of pressure, and there was times where he threw the ball in the wrong place. The receiver was in it was a lot of everything. And that was just it. It was a lot of everything. It wasn't like Tyler Van Dyke throwing into triple man coverage. It wasn't like that. You know, and I'm just saying, 2010, in my opinion, was disappointing. It was because of the fact Miami going 9-3 the previous season, and of course, excuse me, losing to Notre Dame of all teams in the Sun Bowl. But there's just been a lot of consistencies throughout. Losing when it counts. Losing to the Georgia Techs. They finished 5-3. I mean, you take away, again, we're in the land of what ifs, but if you take away the Virginia Tech and the Virginia loss, even if you stick with the FSU loss, which I don't really want to do, it just was what it was, and I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy. So, oh crap, I got to pull this back up right quick. Hang on. I need to bring up my roster here because it is time to play everybody's favorite game, and it's become my new favorite game. Because, last week I really didn't do it because I didn't want to give the impression that that's why I was doing this. But it has now become my favorite game. Just because apparently I'm romanticizing. Oh, crap. What is this? Nope. I don't want to. I want to be able to. Okay, y'all be patient. Be patient. Be patient. Just a second. I need to pull up. I want to be able to zoom in on. I want to make sure everybody gets to see these names. I want to make sure everybody gets to see. Where is it at? There it is. That's what I'm looking for, because you know what? I'm coming with the facts. I don't care whether you like it or not. All right. Let's see here. Let me find. Okay, so it's 62. Okay, that's the numeric roster. Class. There we go. There is my position breakdown again. Again, I was trying to, with all this going on, I didn't know if I was going to go live or not. And I decided to go live, and I had already did all this stuff. All right, so here we are. Here we go. I hope y'all can see this. I'll be happy to zoom this in some more if you can't. Let's see here. Yeah, that looks fantastic. I can read that. Let's see. Maybe I'm wrong, but back then the passing game was more vertical when you threw it 30. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, yeah, exactly. There was no, like I said, wide receiver screen. It just wasn't happening. Okay, now it's time for everybody. I'm gonna have to put a freaking segment in for this, but it's upgrade, downgrade. And I'm going to take this roster and compare it to the roster we have now. And I may be an asshole, but I'm going to tell you like I see it. I tell you right now, quarterbacks. That's kind of hard to call because of the fact of, now we're talking talent, correct? We're not talking about, results or schedule or what. I'm talking, you put Ja'Cory Harris in place of Ja'Cory Brown, put them both in the same, interchange them. Is that what we're doing? Or are we just taking, because I can tell you right now, if Ja'Cory Harris was in the same situation that these Miami quarterbacks in 2023-24 find themselves? Oh, I haven't even got to Morris yet. Because I tell you what, I'll take Morris over any of them right now, hands down. I'll take Morris, and then I'll take Harris. Yes, I would. So I'm saying the quarterbacks, just based on Harris and Morris, I'm going to say 2010 was an upgrade. This year is a downgrade. And yes, Mr. Morris, Mr. Stephen Morris is one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time. Now, running backs, upgrade. 2010's upgrade, hands down. No disrespect to this team, but you got Barry, Cooper, who was hurt, but still, it's Cooper. You know, you got Storm Johnson coming up, Lamar Miller. They're just freshmen. You know, Darren Hall, Clements. You know, I'll take the 2010 running back room over this running back room in 2024 any day. I would. Wide receivers, not a contest. Give me 2010. Just because of the fact you got Benjamin, Bird, Collier, Hankerson, Hearns as a freshman, Aldarius Johnson, who wasn't really utilized his junior year, Streeter, Tompkins. Dude, I'll take that any day. Tight ends, no contest. Give me 2010. Offensive line, give me 2010. You know? And then, you know, you got these freshmen coming in. I mean, you only had 2 seniors, 2 juniors, and a sophomore. All right. Still, give me. Well, thank you, Cuban. Appreciate that. But yeah. Oh, I didn't even get into the fact on the tight end room. You got Cleveland, Sanders, Tallman, and Walford, freshmen. Gordon, Ford. I'll take that. I mean, look at this. You got a 6'5", 6'6", 6'4", 6'4", 6'5", 6'4". Tight ends that could catch the ball. Not just block and max protect on a 3-man defensive rush. Again, offensive line, I'm taking 2010. I don't care. I'm taking 2000. I do. I take 2010. Defensive line, I'm taking 2010 because a lot of the issues that the defense had was because of the turnovers. They were on the field so many times. I'll take that defensive line. Oh yeah, I'll take Bailey, Fortson, Ojimo, Regis, Vernon. I'll take them all day. Oh, I know 2024 it's a projection, but I'm throwing 2023 in there also. Now you got to remember, 2023 you have NIL, transfer portal. These guys on 2010, they signed the paperwork and they stayed. They didn't come from other places. So I give them a 1-up just on that. But I'm telling you right now, I'll take the 2010 defensive line over 2023 or 2024. Because really, in my opinion, with the exception of Bain, what else you got compared to this 2010 team? I'm just saying. Again, this is no disrespect to this is not I'm not taking punches at the young men. This is nothing personal against the young men. I'm just saying, as far as where these position players were at the time of 2010 versus where these position players are now in 2023, 2024. That's all I'm saying. Okay. So actually right now, I kind of fielded an offense just from the 2010 team. This is just 2010. Now if y'all really want to have fun with this, we can do this ourselves. Yeah, Bailey and Fernan. Yes, exactly, Cuban. Yeah. But, if y'all want to do this, when we get through this Rise of the Fall, if y'all want to make an all Rise of the Fall team, we'll do it. Hey, Phil. Oh, yeah, we pop it off, dude. You missed it. But here's my thing. If y'all want to go, I'll pull up all these rosters by position. I'll pull up. We'll pick. We'll figure it out. I guarantee you, we can make a first team, a second team, and a third team on all these positions. We can make a first team offense, a second team offense, a third team offense, and the same with defense. I guarantee you, we can do it. You know why? Because we're taking the time to do the homework, to do the research, to do the math. And that's what we're doing. All I did was pull up page 64 in the 2010 media guide that you can download off a PDF. It's not hard. Linebackers. As a group, I'll take 2010 just because you've got McCarthy, you got Spence, McCarthy, like I said, Futch, Buchanan, what we got now, Kiko, and unknowns. Again, no disrespect to these young men today, but I'm just saying. Oh, defensive backs, you don't even have to ask. I mean, look at them. Look, these guys right here. You mean to tell me you could not find 2 or 3 people from this list alone in 2010 that could be on the 2024 team? Seriously? Are you kidding me? Are you telling me you could not find anybody? I mean, this is just 2010. This is just one season. I mean, come on, people. Ray, Brandon Harris, JoJo, Talamac, Van Dyke, Brandon Harris. I mean, really? Come on, man. Really? You couldn't find anything? Nothing? Bullshit is what it is. Thank you, Cuban. Or y'all see? Now you see why I got riled up all of a sudden? Because I didn't see that part about the other. I was busy trying to get things prepared to go live. I didn't see all this other crap they did. But you know what? Again, that's their opinion. If they at the You Heard. Oh no, I'm not. I'm yeah. Ryan Hill. Yeah. Again, this is not. I mean, I understand. I'm not trying to, be the little chihuahua under the porch barking and biting ankles. But come on, man. If you got this podcast and this show, and you've got all these people that show up to see you, you got all-star studded cast. I would have thought, if you're going to come out with this segment of, in the past 20 years, who would take the place of the people on this team this year, and you can't come up with anything, and you have this almighty syndicated show? Come on, man, look. If we can do it, anybody can do it. Man, that's okay. I may be upset. I may be getting kind of loud, but you know what? It makes me feel even better about us. Makes me feel better about us. But I digress. And then, of course, kickers. Oh, now that is a good question. Do you take Bosher over Borregales? Oh, I know. But and again, Cuban, it has. I don't care if it was you heard, you talk, you turn, whoever. It could have been anybody. Okay? But we've been doing this for 6-7 weeks now, dude. And here we are. All I did, again, I pulled up it's in the media guide. I just pulled up roster by position, and here we are. Okay, so don't give me this bullshit with a big program, big show like you have. Probably has legitimate people working for him, and you can't do stuff like this. Come on, man. Because I'm gonna tell you right now. I mean, I gotta take it down a notch. But I'm just saying, if it was me, if I was gonna have a segment, where I come on and say, all right, we're gonna take I'm going to be better prepared because, like I said, if I'm going to have the topic, what players from the last 20 years will you take on this team? I'm providing information. Wait a minute, let me get myself back on camera because there I am. If I'm doing that, I'm putting what we would do. Here's how I would do it. Is I would start, we'd go back to 2004, and pull up each of the rosters by position like we just looked at. All right, and we'll go through all the quarterbacks. All right, who do you like? Okay, Cuban likes 05. Okay, Katie likes 16. QB likes 18. I like 10. And then we look at those. Okay. Now, what is there? And I guarantee you we could come up with people. We go through each position like that. And I guarantee you we can come up with the first string, second string, and third string. Easy. But the thing is, we would go through the data. We would go through the numbers. We would look at the information. We wouldn't just talk out of our ass and just try to make something for people to just talk about in the chat and just get some clicks and some views. And, oh, man, this is so much fun. We don't know what we're talking about, but we're having fun. You know what's sad? And I'm not trying to be the fan police, but I've been a Canes fan longer than that dude's been alive, bruh. Not that that matters, but I don't know. I'm just saying. But y'all know how we do it here. Y'all know how we do it. You know how we do it, Cuban, whether we're at the round table or if we're here on my show. We're going to have the numbers. We're going to have the data. We're going to have it. We're going to have the proof. We're going to have the evidence. We're going to have the cold, hard facts. I mean, we're going to talk out of our ass because that's just what we do. But we're going to have the numbers. That's why I bring up all these numbers. That's why I do all these slides and all this. That's why I do it. It's so... not to prove myself right, but just to show that, just looking at the numbers. Uh-oh. Katie, I need to highlight this. I've been trying to do this, but wait a minute, what happened? There it is. There we go. Katie says she gets upset because they try to force us to drink the Kool-Aid. I've been bullied, trolled, stalked, and then over innocuous comments that doesn't toe the. I know. And honestly though, it's I knew they were all full of it and full of themselves. I know that. I'm not stupid. But the thing that got me upset with I'm not going to say upset, but the thing that got my dandruff up is because we've been doing this Rise of the Fall, like I said, for the 100th time. We've been doing this for a few months now. And we've gone through the numbers, through the stats, scoring summaries, individual offense, individual defense, team. We've gone through, year-end stats. We've gone through the roster, this, recruits, etc., coaching staff. We've talked about it. We've gone through it. From 04 to 010, or excuse me, from 04 to 2010. Okay, we've done it. Y'all been here with me. I've sat here and looked at, hours of highlights to get my game notes to help, refamiliarize. I mean, I'm not, I don't get all of it, but I try to get most of it, But we go through the information, we go through the data, we go through the evidence, the truth, and we give our opinions based on that. But for them to have this, and I honestly, whether you agree with it or not, I still respect what they do. I respect what all of the, like the Flow, the Coach Hayes, Coach Coop, etc. I respect all of them. You talk, I respect all of what they've done. But I have a hard time when, I put up those 4 names. Now, granted, I know Harris was probably far-fetched, but gonna sit there and tell me that I'm, we're romanticizing over what could have been based instead of, records. And then I'm like, really, dude? Okay, sure, whatever. I would almost like I'm kind of curious to see what they came up with or couldn't come up with. Because I guarantee you, they were just going off their thinking, But anyway, I digress. But yeah, that was probably one of the reasons why I went live instead of recording it, because there was no way I could have just recorded it. I had to speak my mind. But it's cool. It is what it is. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but it'd be different if I wasn't doing this. If I just thought of something in my mind based on my opinion instead of, we've been doing this for freaking 2 months almost, That's the crazy part. But who cares? Who cares? I'd have never thought I would have went 4 hours, but we did. But anyway, I appreciate y'all stopping by on a Monday afternoon. I know it was impromptu. I know my patio perspectives, I said I was going to do a recording, but I got to today. I can't do it. I had to go live. I just had to. Again, I apologize for forgetting to put the friggin' link up there. I do. I was not on purpose. That was completely accidental. I basically was winging it. I kind of got in here real quick, threw stuff, as you can see, threw stuff together. I didn't even think about it. I was just trying to do it. But yeah, so I think that episode 8, Ocho. I think episode 8, 2011, the golden years, the golden era, the golden age, the golden cow. I don't know what I'm going to call it, but it's going to be golden. As of right now, it looks like that I will do a Monday night live show next Monday night. I should be able to do it next Monday night. We'll do a live show. And we'll do that. And hopefully, we'll be able to have a better organized situation. Yeah, Katie, the pillars, and I found the video on that. I found it on YouTube. It's a copy of the Al Golden video version of the Pillars of Foundation. Oh yes, we will go over that. That will be part of it. But yeah, Katie, Barrios. Yeah, people like Barrios. Oh, I'll take Barrios any day. I haven't got to that. The Pillars. It's the Pillars of something, all right. But yeah, I mean, Katie, like I said, I guarantee you, again, from 2004 to now, say 20 years. Okay, so we'll go 2004. I'll go 2022. I won't even. I'm not going to even go into 2023. We'll say from 04 to 2022. All right. I guarantee you we can find at least four different teams, offense and defense. Yeah. Amon Richards. I mean, yeah, again, I'm just at 2010. We still got, man, we still got like 13 seasons to go, and it's just getting good. So, all right. So yeah, I thank y'all for stopping by. Of course, Cuban, Katie, QB, Phil. Looks like we had Mr. Wayne stop by. Thank y'all for spending time this evening. Y'all have a good week. I know it's Monday. Just remember, spread the party out through the week. But yeah, I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for stopping by so much. Also, Cuban, since you are here, I wanted to personally say thank you for giving me that link to Studio One Live. I love it. I like it. I'm gonna try to get him up on the check it out corner. But yeah, Studio One Live, man, that dude got it going on, bruh. He's got it going on. Thanks again, Cuban. That's all I got. So until we meet again, whether it be on this show or if we meet up at the round table, I'll see you when I see you. Peace, love, and soul, as always. Go Canes. It's always about the you every day, all day for me. Thank y'all so much, and I appreciate y'all putting up with my rant. We're going to catch y'all next time. Bye.